Johnny Depp has won. This is big news, and it's a lot of celebrity gossip that I haven't really followed all that much, but there is some big cultural, political victories here. There are some. This is a huge blow to the Believe All Women MeToo stuff. Amber Heard wrote this op-ed that was basically defaming Johnny Depp without actually naming him because it was part of the whole narrative about how, women are abused and they have to keep it secret. Turns out, well, she's got to pay damages to Johnny Depp. Now, he did lose some of the case, but for the most part, major victory for Johnny Depp and a major blow to Believe All Women and the corporate press, because I believe it was the Washington Post who just uncritically ran this story like, yeah, sure, you can say whatever you want. And my question is, why isn't Johnny Depp suing the Washington Post? So, I don't know, maybe.
I mean, everyone can't sue them.
What do you mean?
The Washington Post?
Is that a dare?
No.
Yes. Yeah, well, sure, maybe they can. So we'll talk about all that. We also have, man, today is kind of crazy. We have this, the Democrat who's running against Rand Paul made what may be one of the most insane political ads I've ever seen. It's him with a noose around his neck, and he's holding on to it, talking about how, it was a tool to terrorize his people. And I'm just like, yo, if you think this is like the woke stuff was crazy 10 years ago, just wait until these woke millennials are running the show completely as opposed to just suggesting or demanding of these things. Imagine when they're actually at the helm.
I think he won the Jussie Smollett vote, man.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. And then we have, this one's going to be tough because YouTube's going to get real mad about this one.
Boy.
Hunter Biden apparently texted his father a link to adult content. Okay. But it's, hold on.
That's the best case scenario.
That's the best case scenario.
Yeah. Yikes.
So the Daily Mail says, but wait. They shared phone numbers.
Oh, okay.
So maybe he was just sending it to himself. And then I'm like, yo, that means it could be Joe sending it to his son. There's a whole bunch of new information coming out from this laptop. The creepy things that Hunter Biden does. But I got to be honest, if Hunter Biden wants to do weirdo stuff, that's fine. He can do his thing. And I don't think it's anybody's business. But when you learn that through these links that were being sent, they shared phone numbers, it raises questions about whether or not Joe was actually doing business pretending to be Hunter. That's the real story. So we're going to talk about all of that. Plus, we got some Joe Rogan stuff in the news. We've got some other cultural stuff in the news, woke movies failing. Joining us to talk about all of this is Jobob.
Yo, what up? My name is Jobob. I feel like I should first and foremost explain that ridiculous name. One grandpa was Joe, the other one was Bob. My parents couldn't decide who to name me after, and so they compromised and YOLO'd a hillbilly Alabama backwoods name on a brown guy. So there's that.
When Lydia was like, we have Jobob on, I'm thinking like some guy in overalls with like a straw hat.
I definitely have more teeth of any Jobob you've ever had here. If you've had any other Jobobs.
They bring you in for diversity training. Like, I want everyone to picture someone named Jobob. Now open your eyes.
Bigot. So what do you do?
I've been in politics for a while. I somehow convinced the good folks at Daily Caller to allow me to host the Daily Caller live show each and every morning on all the Daily Caller platforms. And I say somehow convinced because I am wholly and entirely unqualified to do that sort of thing. I mostly make jokes about the news, try and reach an audience that's kind of like not so into the weeds. Maybe we can talk about why a little bit later. But yeah, that's kind of my thing. I also do some stuff with Turning Point USA. I'm a contributor over there, and have been. This is all very new to me, so I'm figuring it out.
We also have Brett Dasovic joining us, host of Pop Culture Crisis, because I got to be honest, I don't know a whole lot about the Johnny Depp stuff, and we needed somebody who could tell us more about it. I think there's cultural and political ramifications here, but Brett's joining us.
Speaking of wholly unqualified and talking about stuff to people who might not know the stuff you're talking about, that's kind of what we do over there is you kind of link in stuff that's socio-political into cultural commentary, talk about it in the context of movies, and we kind of do that. And I totally identify with the feeling unqualified while speaking to people on a show, so that's perfect.
You read more about it than I did. Of course, Shim
Sham over here on Timcast IRL. I'm Seamus Coughlin. I make cartoons on a YouTube channel called Freedom Tunes. We uploaded a pretty funny cartoon about the Canadian gun ban yesterday. I think you guys will enjoy. We are uploading a cartoon tomorrow. I think you'll also enjoy. And guess what? We launched our website, freedomtunes.com. You go over there, become a member for $5 a month. You'll get 4 extra cartoons per month. That'll be exclusive. Only you folks will get to see them. And we've got a bunch of videos up there now waiting for you. At least 5 cartoons and a bunch of behind-the-scenes stuff.
And if you are a member over at Freedom Tunes, make sure you just demand more Fauci.
More Fauci. Yeah, we can do. Look, I mean, you become a member, you leave a comment. If you want more Tim as Fauci, we'll get more Tim as Fauci in there.
Fauci's gone, man.
And you will or will
coming
not
back.
You will or will not love them forever.
I will love them forever.
Okay, got it.
Yes,
Got it.
yeah, that is one
That's
of the
good.
yeah.
Like erotic love?
No.
Familial love.
Yeah, it is. I want what is best for them.
Speaking of wholly unqualified,
Wow.
what's up, dudes?
Everyone here is like, I shouldn't
That's
be
right.
here.
Yeah, I
No,
should
what
be
if
here.
you
I didn't
went?
say
What if
that.
he
I
was
was
like,
talking about
speaking of
Seamus.
unqualified, Seamus is unqualified to love.
Just kidding. Seamus is the best.
Seamus.
Ian Crossland in the house, everybody. Let's get to it because I've never known any two people to share a phone number before, so I want to know what's going on.
That's
weird.
really interesting.
Sorry,
Go
go
ahead,
ahead.
go ahead. No,
I was
go
saying
ahead.
you missed a point too. It also could have been Joe sending it to Joe.
That's right.
Is that what you were gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say
Sorry.
something like that. I'm
Joe's
looking forward
like,
to this evening.
I really like this link, man. Make sure I don't forget about it.
Oh my
That
gosh.
actually feels more plausible given his mental state. Actually.
Yeah, that
I don't
sounds
know,
right.
dude. My honest opinion is I think Joe Biden abused his son.
I would
Oh,
not
for
be
sure.
surprised.
But we'll get into. Well, I'm not kidding.
Hot take.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I don't think so.
Not at all. Yeah.
Even just abandonment is a type of abuse.
I don't want to bury the lead, so I'll just say, we know he sniffs kids. Look how screwed up Hunter Biden is.
Yep.
The drug abuse. I think that dude's got long-term trauma from something that happened in his life, and now they're texting each other porn.
Ugh.
Yo, I think that dude. But we'll get into that stuff.
Anyway, yeah, I'm also here. I am qualified to push buttons and nothing else. I'm glad to be here, even though the top content of this is kind of gross. I'm looking forward to hearing what Brett has to say. It's going to be good.
Before we get started, head over to timcast.com and become a member. In order to get access to exclusive members-only segments from the show, we're going to have a show up for you at 11 p.m. tonight. Monday through Thursday is when we put these episodes up. But you'll also be supporting our journalists. We're hiring a couple more. You'll be supporting our infrastructure. We are working diligently behind the scenes to build a culture and infrastructure around opposing censorship. So we're hopefully going to have some updates on that in the future. But you know that we switched over to Rumble's cloud infrastructure. We are not done. We are still building stuff. And as soon as we're ready, we're going to make some big announcements and keep making big splashes in that area. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show right now. Take that YouTube URL, post it on every social media platform if you do want to help out. That grassroots marketing is the most powerful way you can support us. Let's jump into this first story from timcast.com. Jury finds Amber Heard defamed Johnny Depp in trial verdict.
Woo.
Heard ordered to pay $15 million in damages, but I don't think that's where it ends. There's some caps, and there's I think Johnny does owe some to Amber. So let's read. The 7-person jury reached a decision around 3:20 p.m. on June 1st after deliberating for a cumulative 12 hours over 3 days. Heard has been ordered to pay $15 million in damages. However, $5 million of that amount applies to punitive damages, which the state caps at $350,000. In Heard's countersuit, Depp was found guilty of 1 of 3 counts of defamation. Depp was not present in the courtroom at the time the verdict was read, although he did teleconference in from the United Kingdom. Depp filed the defamation suit against Heard for $50 million after alleging the op-ed she authored for the Washington Post damaged his reputation. His legal team said the actress presented herself as a public figure representing domestic abuse, which had financial consequences for her ex-husband, even though it never specifically included his name. And he's won. In a huge blow for the MeToo movement, with all of these just, believe all women narratives, just no matter what. Well, now we know that Amber Heard wasn't being honest. And also the corporate press, the Washington Post, that uncritically ran this story, which is what they often do. And then they want to hide behind, but it was someone else's opinion. Well, here we are. I don't know if I missed anything in that story, Brett. If there's more details you think we should mention?
The most important one that I think a lot of people leave out is that she didn't write the
That's
op-ed.
right. Thank you.
It was drafted by an ACLU lawyer.
Whoa.
Yeah.
If I can remember off the top of my head, and that was basically done to coincide around the time of her leaving Johnny Depp. And we talked about it today. There's a lot of really weaselly language in that op-ed. I was surprised how short it is. I hadn't read it in a long time. I skimmed it when it first came out, right? And when we went back through it the other day, it's only about a paragraph. It's a couple paragraphs long.
Wow.
And most of the stuff about Johnny Depp could be inferred in that first paragraph, and the rest of it is just very, very generalized language. So that's why I was surprised that he actually did end up winning.
So this sounds like a hoax.
I think it was
She
done.
didn't write it?
She did not write it. It was drafted basically by somebody as an ACLU lawyer because she was a spokesperson for the ACLU on domestic violence.
Wow.
And that's a problem because it was done at
Yo.
the time of them getting separated and divorced.
This is more than just Me Too and corporate
big.
press. This is a hammer to the face of the narrative machine.
I don't know if it's just because I'm pretty black-pilled about all of it, but I was very surprised that he just because the language was so vague and done in such a way without naming him at all. she even says when she talks about domestic violence, she doesn't infer him specifically. Like Mary on the show even posited, she's like, she could be just saying, what if she's just a spokesperson for domestic violence, not necessarily somebody who has actually had gone through domestic violence. I said, yeah, but who actually does that? Who becomes a spokesperson for something they didn't actually experience?
Right.
I'm curious. Did anybody here know about this before this defamation case came to
Negative.
Oh,
I
yeah,
didn't-
yeah.
You did?
I remember when they published this story, and it was like, who is she talking about? And they're like, she was obviously talking
Yeah.
about Johnny Depp.
Well, so
then when he got booted from Pirates, and he got booted from Dumbledore?
Yep.
Or not from Dumbledore, from Harry Potter?
Yeah, from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. That was the one that I think is actually worse.
But they did him a favor, to be honest, because this movie sucked.
Yes, which is odd.
Maybe it would have been good if Johnny Depp was in it,
Yeah, you never
I'm
know.
kidding. There's no possible way.
No way, yeah.
Could have been good.
That was one of those things where I was like, that one felt more realistic to me because that was dealing with J.K. Rowling, who's a main producer and writer on those movies, which is another reason because she can write books. She's not very good at writing scripts. It's a completely separate skill
Really
set.
bad.
But
Yeah.
it's one of those things where she knows what that's like to deal with people defaming her and saying stuff about her beliefs. So to have that come out and have her not support him, that felt more
This was
more tangible to me than the stuff about Pirates of the.
This was
Pirates of the
3.5
Caribbean.
years ago. She wrote this op-ed.
Yep.
I spoke up against sexual violence and faced our culture's wrath. That has to change.
please.
And it was not even drafted by her.
Nope.
This is what the reality of this country is. These big machines, the corporate press, these big nonprofits, these big NGOs. It's fabricated. It's a narrative machine. They're not telling you about reality. It's completely inauthentic.
She also never paid off she pledged the money from her divorce settlement to both the ACLU and then what was the other one? It was a hospital, like a Los Angeles Children's Hospital, and she said that she donated it, but she did not donate it. She pledged the money and then blamed Johnny Depp for saying, "Well, you're suing me. How can I give them the money now? Because I have to pay. I may have to pay you back." So it's.
Wow.
Did anybody read her press release after?
No.
Pull it up. It's
Was it where? It's on her Instagram, right?
Yeah, it's like a
Hannah Claire sent it to me
screenshot.
earlier. Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
The gaslighting is real.
It's really bad.
Yep.
Oh, this
yeah.
is too long. I don't care about what she has to say.
Yep.
I mean, I don't either. That's fair.
Here's what's better. In a story from the Babylon Bee, uncanceled, Amber Heard hired by the Daily
gosh.
Wire.
Amazing.
Good on you, Ben Shapiro. Good on
it.
you.
Her and Gina Carano can make a buddy cop comedy.
Oh my God.
This
It'd be amazing.
from the
really.
Babylon Bee was brilliant. Amber Heard hired by the Daily Wire. A brilliant move from co-CEO Jeremy Boring on that one. So Amber Heard wrote, "The disappointment I feel today is beyond words. I'm heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the disproportionate power, influence, and sway of my ex-husband. I'm even more disappointed with what this verdict means for other women. It is a setback." I'm seeing a bunch of progressives on Twitter, and they're like, their audience is angry at this verdict.
Oh, yeah.
Like they wanted Johnny Depp to lose.
Yep.
Well, you know what I think is actually more damaging to women who are victims of abuse? Making dishonest claims about
That's
being
right.
abused. That's all.
Yeah.
That's right.
The one thing you'll always hear in stories like this is that when you lie and make false accusations, you're making it harder for actual victims. And I'm like, yeah, we know that. Look, people who lie are bad people. You know, that's like the cliched response. Yeah, Amber Heard, you're garbage. You're garbage.
Yeah, my point is that, I mean, look, to pretend to care about a group of people that you are allegedly pretending to be one of as an imposter so you can sort of use whatever social capital you think being a victim will get you as abhorrent. Like, you don't actually care.
They were like a couple alcoholic cokeheads that beating the hell out of each other. I mean, they both deserve nothing, Adam,
Yeah, it
in
was
my
sad.
opinion.
Well, so that's
I
what-
guess they both won the lawsuit for the other one, got a countersuit. So she sued Johnny for a couple $1 million. Johnny got 10 out of her or 13 out of her
Well, he won the most of it.
because
She
she's
won a
worth
little bit.
more. Yeah.
Well, it's
Maybe I
because
don't-
men get paid more than women in this horrible culture.
Maybe I don't know enough
Easily.
about this, but it seemed like he was trying to prove a negative. Like what it seemed like this trial proved was that both of them are blackout crazy people. Like, am I wrong in that?
No, that's
'Cause
what I got from it.
That's what I got from it.
Yeah,
And
but
so, like,
he
how
didn't
do you-
defame her. So, like, I mean, I guess he did in that one count, but she writes an article.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, but how?
It's like you can be a crackpot blackout drunk, just don't go publish it in the Washington Post.
The number one conclusion we
Okay.
seem to come through is that they were just really bad for each other. Like their behavior was in general just very self-destructive to one another. The problem with that is though we covered a story yesterday where the media basically says if you don't believe her, you're bullying her. And that, and the writer posits that mutual abuse is fake. That there's no such thing as mutual abuse in a relationship because of power dynamics. It always comes back to power dynamics when they're discussing this stuff.
Communism, that's it.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they actually make a point to talk about like we can talk about like how false accusations are extremely rare, and they link your articles like what you're supposed to go to, and it's 2 articles about Kavanaugh.
Yeah, so good.
Oh,
I was like, this
hysterical.
is beyond parody. Like I was like, so they don't actually like you expect it to be like some type of YouGov statistics or something that says yes, it is in fact rare for people to falsely accuse someone.
They always just fall back on communism. On, well, he had more power, that's why I lost. That's what she says in her thing. The disproportionate power, influence, and sway of my ex-husband. It's like, dude,
Well, I mean,
you did wrong. You got called out. Stop crying.
I don't know, man. Johnny Depp does control the courts.
That's true.
That's
Yeah.
true, yeah.
Yeah.
I have
People
heard
don't
that.
realize that when they keep putting George Soros at the top, it's actually Johnny Depp.
Actually, Johnny
Johnny
Depp
Depp the whole
done
time.
everything.
Yeah.
Maybe Johnny Depp can play George Soros in the George Soros biopic when that eventually doesn't
See,
get made.
A lot of people like to talk about the shadow government. What they don't understand is that there is a forward-facing government that masquerades as a court jester. And so the jester is right there the whole time. You think there's a shadow government. It was the jester pulling the strings right in front of you.
See, my problem with all this is I don't think it's actually going to change anything for society. A lot of people see this as a commentary on the relationships between men and women, how that's going to change. I said, no, this is just further proof that we as a society are still obsessed with celebrities, and he has the money to fight a $50 million defamation lawsuit. If this happens to just some regular dude on the street who gets defamed, he doesn't have the money to fight this in court.
Yeah.
It ends up the same
Right.
way. I don't actually think it changes anything long term. Maybe no, go ahead.
Well, we live in a caste system.
Yep.
It's, I feel like when this country's founded, it's very meritocratic because a bunch of people land on barren shores and it's like, good luck. And then some of them are like, well, we can steal it from the Native Americans. Others were like, we can work with the Native Americans. And others were like, guess I'll die. I guess many were like, I'll survive. But that meritocracy was all that mattered. So if you had problems, you just sought to solve it. You tried to figure it out. Now that we have big cities and people aren't moving around anymore, we've become much less meritocratic. Now you have people who are born rich, stay rich, who can wield influence. Laws get crafted around this. And you end up with regular people, like CNN goes after that guy who makes a meme.
Yep.
So some like dock worker who or some warehouse worker who
Yeah.
posted a meme about Nancy Pelosi, they go after him. He can't do anything about it.
Or there was the one, it was like the WWE meme of like the
Yes.
guy like power bombing like the CNN logo
Yep.
or something like that.
And they were like,
one
we'll
time-
reveal his name unless he promises never to post a meme again.
Insane.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they'll sit there and do something like, destroy a teenager's life over a completely fabricated story and repeat that he's some kind of white supremacist who's harassing a Native American who was a veteran when none of it's true. And also tell the entire country where the kid went to school while doing it, while inciting hatred against them. Then someone posts a meme poking fun at them and they go, I'm in danger.
So I don't mean to say in the most extreme case caste system. What I mean to say is we're growing to this point where you have people who are just third generation wealthy. They can afford big lawyers. They just it's remarkable how I've met people who are just rich because their families were rich and they buy things from each other with insane amounts of money. Like I would be like, you bought lotion for $50? Why? And they're like, oh, it's really good. And I'm like, you get the Jergens from Walmart. I don't understand like why you would do that. And they're like, I don't know. But then their friend makes the lotion and sells it for $50. And I'm like, when you're in that community, you just have all of this money, I guess, from whatever.
And Tim, I told you that lotion helps rejuvenate me.
You do look
And
better.
I think this subtweet, thank you very
Feels
much.
Great. Yeah, I agree.
But you don't got to buy the fake, weird, crazy, expensive. My
Maybe
point
you don't
ultimately is we're moving in that direction. I do think we're still, it's not like completely a caste system. You can move up the class system, but it really is coming to that point where we have seen so many people defamed. I mean, James O'Keefe, maybe one of the most defamed people, and he has to fight tooth and nail and ask people to help support him to win these lawsuits, which he does.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp is just ultra rich, and he's like jamming out in the UK, like whatever, and then he wins. When you've got that kind of FU money, you just write a blank check to a lawyer and say, win for me, and then you leave.
Yeah, I just want to be wealthy enough that a false accusation against me won't be able to stick.
Yeah, love it.
Even if he had lost, I mean, it's one of those things where because he had won the court of public opinion so handily, like, say he loses, but he has his reputation back, he can make that up in money in rolls in no time and pay off that $100 million lawsuit if that had been the way this had gone. But I think he would have ended up winning either way because his reputation is now, at the very least, he's employable again by big studios. He'll be able to make more money again, and that's just proof that it keeps going.
Where does it go from here, though? Like, does he get a career back? Because, again, for me personally, I didn't know anything about this until the lawsuit. And I think that's a lot of America just was like, holy cow, Johnny Depp.
I don't know, man.
Really?
He got booted from Harry Potter and from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, that's people in the know, though. I'm talking about, like, the
No.
wider scope.
Well, and
I don't know. Maybe I'm just...
regular people know about their entertainment.
Yep.
So if you go to somebody and you say, do you know who Hamilton was? They might be like, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, Johnny Depp is like, oh, of course.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. But I still had never heard of this. All I know now is like, holy cow, I know Johnny Depp is has some interesting problems. And I didn't know that before. And so now I'm wondering, how does he go forward?
Think about this, too. Like, you have a normal married couple that divorces, and the wife goes around defaming the husband. What does he do about it? Well, she told 15 people.
Yeah.
Their inner circle now, he loses some of his friends, and then he moves on, and then she moves on. In this weird world of celebrity and wealth, she publishes an op-ed in the Washington Post drafted by a lawyer for the ACLU. They're both extremely wealthy celebrities, so this crazy cultural event happens. Yeah, it's just weird, you know.
Yeah, it was like, where was the Elaine Maxwell trial? Why was that not televised?
I know, like, this is the funniest thing about it. We have two celebrities wagging their fingers at each other, and everyone's glued to it. Law and Crime Network, I think, had 150,000 people watching the verdict get read. I think it was 150K.
I think it was more than
Way
that.
more
Was
than
it
that.
way
It was
more
a
than
couple
that?
million,
Yeah,
right?
it was more
Million?
than a million.
No,
Yeah.
live?
Or no, not live.
Collectively.
No, collective views.
The
right?
feed that
Right,
I was
no.
watching had 500,000 people watching.
Okay, yeah.
500,000.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like
And
the local
think
feed,
about the
too.
Maxwell trial. They're like, no one's allowed in. You can't know about this. Like, she's convicted of trafficking minors to a bunch. Who knows?
We don't know anybody
We don't
who
know.
did that,
Customers are
'cause-
gone. And that's just like, I mean, Epstein himself. Like, we got questions about what happened in that jail cell, and just gone. But Johnny Depp, top of the hour, headline.
Bread and circus. You know,
Yep.
that Roman tactic to keep the population subdued.
You know
make
what
sure they
else?
have enough bread and they have
500K.
enough entertainment. This
People
was
are
the
saying
circus.
millions. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
millions.
So here's what I want to point out. At a time when we've got this story here from the Daily Mail, and I can't show you the headline because YouTube might take it down. Hunter Biden's laptop was leaked, and so
Spicy.
there's new information coming out about the things he was doing. I just find it funny that on this day something really, really bad comes out. It's also the day we get the verdict in the trial for Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. I'm not saying this is a conspiracy. I'm just
distraction.
saying, what a distraction. What did Ian say? Bread and circuses.
Yep.
Hunter Biden was searching for MILF, crack cocaine, adult content.
Wow.
I just thought that was funny because it's like, well, he's into it, right? He's looking for someone who's just like him. He was looking for
Brett's dying.
No, get this. He was looking up adult content on Pornhub. Lonely widow. That is
That is-
dark.
His
that is
brother's
dark.
wife.
His brother's widow. And so he's like, I'm into this, yeah. And he's looking it up. That's creepy. But here's the craziest thing. Here's what they say. There's an image that says dad on 2018-1022, and it's a link to Pornhub Premium sent to dad. Who is Hunter Biden's dad? Joe Biden. Here's what they say, though. iMessage records appear to show Hunter sent a link to a Pornhub page to a phone number he had saved in his contacts book as dad on October 22nd, 2018. However, other texts show he and Joe Biden used each other's phone numbers at various times. So it is unclear whether the president was using that number at the time.
How does that even work?
Daily Mail. You realize that also means it could have been Joe sending it to his son. It could have been Joe sending it to himself. Joe Biden being like, "Oh, this is a really good video. Got me off. I'm gonna save this one for later by sending it to myself."
At least he paid for premium. That's
gosh.
Yeah, that's
good.
yeah. You don't want to get the cheap stuff, huh?
That's right.
Here's what the craziest thing about this is. Look, I mentioned this in the intro to the show. I don't care if Hunter Biden wants to do weird stuff. Everyone, there's the meme where it's like the person's dying and they're like, delete my search history because everybody's, searched for weird things they'd be embarrassed by. If Hunter Biden wants to watch Lonely Widows, okay, dude, that's your thing. But if Joe Biden is using the same phone number as Hunter, then how do we know? How do we differentiate between the business dealings of Hunter Biden and Joe Biden? This sounds to me like just evidence on top of evidence that Joe Biden was using his son as a proxy to do deals on the side while he was, influential in government, vice president or otherwise.
Did you see this email? There's a story that came out today about an email sent between James Biden and Hunter Biden. Did you see this? I think this is part of this drop.
What is it?
In an email, James told Hunter, you quote, "You need to call me now, ... Just got off the phone with your father. We have the 2 biggest days of our business life in front of us, 5 or 6 or 7 exclamation points. Wow. We must be smart and everything goes up in smoke. Please call me. You must, all caps, remain calm. Timing could not be worse. Calm and measured. Paybacks can come later."
So we have this right here.
What?
What is this in reference to? What were they doing?
I don't know.
Let me read this. It says, quote, "James and Hunter Biden were in the midst of a lucrative deal with Chinese executives at the time. While Joe Biden was out of public service for the first time in nearly half a century, having left the vice presidency a few months earlier. Hunter Biden turned to his uncle, at least as much as to his famous father, for emotional support. Hunter also relied upon James Biden, who goes by Jim and is known as Jimmy within the family, on matters of dollars and cents. Within days of that exchange, Hunter received another email from his uncle urging him to take advantage of a financial opportunity related to Joe Biden." Right. So, we can all laugh at the ridiculous and deeply personal photos of Hunter Biden.
Gross.
His crack addiction and his illicit activities and all that stuff. But when they said that they shared phone numbers, right away I was like, yo, are we all going to laugh that he sent this link? Or are we going to recognize this appears to be evidence that they were using communication platforms interchangeably? They were sharing bank accounts. Mm-hmm. Joe was doing the illicit dealings. It's not Hunter Biden. It's Joe Biden who's doing it.
Well, I can't think of any other reason for them to share a phone number. Surely they had the funds to both afford separate phones.
Is that a plausible deniability thing?
Maybe. I don't know.
Is that it? That Joe was doing some work and it's like, oh, yeah, Hunter also uses this.
It probably wouldn't be for you or I or any person of normal means who was committing that kind of a crime, right?
But for the Biden family.
Yeah, allegedly committing that kind of a crime, right?
Dude, people don't share cell phone numbers with other people. That's insane. You might have a family plan with multiple numbers on the plan. The only reason you would use the same number as someone else is to obfuscate it.
Yeah.
I can't. Why else would you? They're filthy rich. They don't need it for money. They don't need it.
We can take it on its surface and just be like Hunter Biden sent his dad porn.
Yeah, that's what I think happened.
So maybe. You know what I think? Let's take a look at what's going on with this guy, Hunter Biden. His dad sniffs little kids consistently. His dad talks about how when he was younger, the little kids were rubbing my legs. What did he say, Seamus?
Oh, the hairy legs.
I got hairy legs. The kids would rub them.
Yeah.
So here's a guy we've seen grab women and sniff them, grab children, grope children. Here's a guy that's been accused by Tara Reid of unspeakable acts. And then you take a look at Hunter Biden, sexually depraved, crack addict. I'm wondering, how does someone who's brought up in this privileged family turn to this kind of life? Maybe a deep trauma from his past made him turn to drugs to escape. Maybe he's gone through why would he be sending his dad porn? Ugh. Maybe his dad was abusing him. And that's why they share phone numbers and he sends adult content to his dad, because they had an inappropriate relationship when he was younger. I'm not saying it's a fact. I'm not saying I have evidence. I'm saying I look at this stuff and what I see is I'd be willing to make the bet. I'm like, this guy's got deep sexual problems.
I'm looking up. Hunter's mom and brother died in a car accident, and he was actually in the car with them.
I could say trauma
severely
too,
injured.
just
1972. So Hunter, that might have just destroyed his mind.
But when you add into the fact that his dad, sniffs little girls and gropes children, even little boys, and kisses them, I'm like,
the Tara Reid accusations are unconscionable. It's unconscionable that it wouldn't be investigated. That right before he's running for office, a girl comes out and is like, he pushed me up against the wall, and fill in the blanks. Look it up. It's disgusting.
I just want to stress. We all have seen the videos of Joe Biden groping and kissing little kids.
What's the one with the redhead girl who's she's shirking away from him and looking at him all awkward?
There's whole supercuts.
Isn't there one where he grabbed
a
a little boy's head and lifts it up and pulls him in and kisses him? There's like, didn't he kissed his granddaughter on the lips, didn't he?
I believe so. Yeah.
Was that's something that happened, right?
Disgusting. Yeah, I remember that.
Let's fact check that one.
Recently,
You're
yeah.
also like, it's like, oh, it's because he's older. It's like, it's just, it was a different time when he was younger. It's totally normal.
It was back when like Humphrey Bogart would backhand women on camera, and it was cool in movies.
That was in
that
like
was in the 50s.
Yeah, it was in like the 40s.
But
No,
Biden-
I mean, I don't care if that's true. The New York Post ran the story in 2020. Joe Biden kissed his granddaughter on the lips
Saw
during
the
Iowa
video.
rally. I mean, it is shocking enough that they're like, this is a story, and they show images of him kissing his granddaughter on the lips.
Okay, in fairness, is there an actual video of this? Because
saw
I
it,
could.
yeah.
There is, because I could see somebody turning a cheek on accident the wrong way, and you get that photo. Again, I'm not saying that's what happened.
They're
I'm
both
just.
puckering.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, that looks weird.
But I mean, it's
All right.
it's family, you know. Sometimes you kiss family members on the mouth, and it's just like I've seen that happen before. But it's when it's the girls that aren't his, like his buddy's daughter that's like trying to get out of the way when he's grabbing at her, and like there's a camera, the picture's taken. You're like,
Well,
this is
then you have
disgusting.
to ask the question: is it better or worse when he's not related to them? Because that's a slippery slope to go down too. I have no doubt that that Hunter was deeply abused. Like I've thought that for a really, really long time. Seeing his acting out and his behavior, this is not okay. So the drugs, I understand a lot of rich kids get into a lot of really distasteful drug practices, but his level of acting out is very much a case of like actual abuse, and for that I do feel bad for him. And the way I feel like his dad used him for business deals. What are you laughing at?
Look at this
Tim?
fact check from the
You're laughing
AP.
at?
Photo shows Biden kissing his granddaughter, not a 15-year-old.
Oh, that's better.
How old is his 15?
Oh, that's way better.
How does his daughter?
She was 19.
Oh.
He's kissing his granddaughter on the lips. That's totally fine.
Imagine having to type that, like working for the AP
On the
and typing
lips.
it, yeah.
Ugh.
I mean,
Fact check.
Do you think they believed that? Like the whoever wrote this, do you think they believed that when they were typing it, they were like, "Oh no, this is totally different."
totally
This is a
normal.
bait and switch.
Yeah.
Someone was like, you know the meme where it's if you ever want to get the answer to a question, just post the wrong answer and then someone will get it correct.
Someone will be along to correct
This is
you
what it
shortly.
is. Somebody was like, I know that if I share the image of Biden kissing his granddaughter, the media will ignore it. So if I post the wrong thing, they'll
I
be forced
love
to fact
it.
check
Dude,
it.
I just typed in
Genius.
Biden smelling girl into the search engine. You should do the same.
No,
There's
no,
so
no,
many
no,
other
no,
things.
no.
I actually will not be doing that.
I
Scared
would,
now.
if you want to confirm what we're talking about, don't take my word for it. Type Biden smelling girl into the search engine.
Turn off the Wi-Fi if you're doing that. on your
Yeah,
phone.
I think he
Seriously,
abused
it's
his
not
kid, man.
Well,
I think that's why Hunter's so messed up.
I just looked at the math. Hunter was 2 when
Yeah,
when he
he
was
was
in the
only
car
2.
accident
Right.
with his mom and brother that died. So it's tough to say. I mean, I don't know. That would make anyone, I would imagine, would make someone's
I don't know,
life
at
hard
2?
knowing that.
I'm not saying, again, that I know
Survivor's
for a
guilt.
fact. I'm just saying when I look at someone like Hunter Biden, who's doing all these drugs, who's really messed up and sending his dad porn, I'm like, sounds like his creepy dad who sniffs children, gropes them, was probably doing the same to his son.
I
Yeah.
think they both like porn, and they both
Well,
know they both like porn.
It sounds to me like his dad made it normal to share porn with his son, which is in itself disturbing. Like, when did that start? I don't view that as being. I personally do not view that as being normal. I don't view that as being wholesome in any way. That's disgusting. I don't know.
It does kind of seem like one of those things where, like, when you've been a drug addict for that long, and especially if your family doesn't discipline you when you're younger, and you don't find a way to like get clean or get better,
Yeah.
and your brain just gets more and more addled, and there's no repercussions for your actions. It's like escalating and getting worse, and it's just more noticeable to us because it's such a prominent family. But I just don't know if I would expect anything more if he didn't take the. I don't know if he's clean now, if he's doing better now, but it's just not something that I have a hard time believing that he'd be able to get clean without help. And his dad's clearly not helping him. His family's too worried about their public image that they're having their his messages and his laptop deleted and kept out of the public record. They don't have time to worry about how his actual health is.
You know what, though? The Biden family, they probably enjoy delicious meals of crab. Being
Oh.
from Delaware.
Oh.
Excellent crabbing country.
That's
you know?
true. Good
So
point.
out in Maryland, we have excellent cream of crab soup.
That's right.
Very wholesome for the family.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, it's really
I'm
good.
hungry. Thanks.
Yeah, I
Tim.
went to a restaurant and they had lobster and crab.
Really?
Yeah, it's very great.
This is a strange segue. Where are we going?
Yeah,
with this? What are we doing here? What's
Nothing,
going on?
just
Nothing.
complete
Nothing.
inanity.
I
Just
love it. I
seafood,
appreciate
absurdity.
it.
man.
I mean, I was just imagining, like, you know, we're talking about Hunter Biden growing up, and I'm like, they're in Delaware or whatever, And I'm like, they're probably eating a lot of crab.
Hey, you know what's in
You
Delaware?
go to the restaurants, like everything's crab.
Crab.
I think one thing we didn't get to show is the pictures from that, what was it, the Daily Mail article?
Yeah, I'm not
Thank
showing those
you.
No,
pictures.
we can't
Nope.
show them, but I mean, if you wonder if Hunter's doing okay now, look at that article and look at those pictures, and that will answer the question for you. I don't know how old the pictures are, but he does not look like he's doing good.
So look, Joe Biden's been miserable. Let's talk about this story real quick. We got this from Timcast.com. Kentucky Democrat Senate candidate wears noose in new campaign ad criticizing Senator Rand Paul. In
What?
case you're wondering how Democrats are doing, you need only look at this image.
it.
You look, Joe Biden's doing miserably. It is they need a Hail Mary desperate pass to try and pull this off. And so we end up getting this ad where an absolutely desperate Democrat candidate, they know they're losing. Now, I don't know what's going to happen. For all we know, Democrats end up winning. Sure, fine, whatever. The red wave is what's being predicted because Republicans are up in the generic ballot. This guy made a campaign ad with a noose around his own neck.
Huh.
And progressives were calling it bold,
What?
courageous. And I'm like, well, that is true. You got to have balls of steel to make a campaign ad.
Yikes.
But when I saw this, I was just like, it was kind of a moment of realization for me. For the first, it's the craziest political ad I've seen in my lifetime, unless I'm forgetting something, which is possible.
There was another one where they were like running people down in MAGA trucks or something.
Oh,
I don't know.
Oh,
if
that's
you
right.
remember
Yeah,
Forgot about
that one was
Yeah,
also
that's really
That was
good.
also
Yes.
crazy. But, before, growing up, the campaign ads were like, my opponent wants to raise taxes.
How dare you.
And he voted no on the Safer Schools Act. Now it's a guy and he puts a noose around his neck and he's like, look what they've done to me. And I'm wow.
It's like he put this noose around my neck and said, "This is MAGA country." It's like Rand Paul poured bleach on me outside of Subway.
That's right.
And the media's like, "Rand, what do you have to say for
How
yourself?"
dare you?
And he's like, I didn't do it. And they're like, he's lying. He admits it.
I never did that. They're like, "Well, that's what you would say if you did
If
it."
you did it.
I do agree. I've never seen an ad where they make themselves the victim. When someone's running for office and is
Well-
like, look how badly I've been treated. Vote for me now.
That's also a very good point. That's such a bizarre strategy to be like, I am a victim. It's like we're
Okay.
supposed to elect leaders. What is this?
I do have to point out, yes, I did not remember this one.
Yeah.
Virginia ad features minority kids chased by truck with Gillespie sticker and Confederate flag.
What?
Yo, this is just
Yeah,
this
no, I
Scare
remember this one.
tactics.
Wild.
it's like
They're writing fanfics.
They are.
right.
They are.
See, but the difference is this is a normal ad. The news. No, yeah, we'll play it.
like what is this white dude with the Confederate flag doing?
They made sure he turned his head slowly, though.
He's running down minority kids. What does it look like?
Jeez.
But I don't think he actually does anything to the
No,
kids.
he doesn't.
They're
Well,
just scared.
whatever politician this was probably intervened before he got a chance to do so.
All right, I bet he did.
I
Like
actually-
Beto O'Rourke.
I actually think this is a really good commercial. Run, run, run! The truck is
The
coming.
hijab girl. Oh no!
This is so
What's he gonna
What-
do?
what's it? Yeah, like what is the guy even? Oh,
Oh
he's got.
no!
Oh, yeah.
Not the Gadsden flag. He's gonna run him over.
Oh, is this a nightmare?
How did it become night so fast?
This is actually. I think this is a good commercial.
I know the PSA is like, maybe
Well,
stop fabricating fake hate crimes and scaring the crap out of your children.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
These
yeah.
kids are having nightmares because you scream in their faces about things that they don't got to be worrying about for the most part.
The Kim Klacik ads were really good that she had.
Those were good, yeah.
That was a good
Oh.
example of high production value, but focusing on whatever issues she wanted to talk about in the community.
Well-
Walking the streets of Baltimore.
I just want to point out, they took the tweet. They took that unbelievably banal, histrionic, dramatic left-wing tweet that we see every couple months and made a commercial. My kid said to me, I'm scared because
Yeah.
Republican is going to do X. It's like, your kid didn't say that. You're making this up. What's wrong with you? They took that and they made it a commercial.
Do you remember the Lincoln? Is it the Lincoln Project? What
Yeah.
was it the Lincoln
Yeah,
Project? Their
ugh.
commercial that they had where it was like 4 more years, and I didn't know you could serve 3 terms, Mom. you remember that commercial?
Yeah, blowing up.
Oh my
What?
God! No, it was Donald Trump in a pickup truck chasing down Abe Lincoln.
Probably, yeah.
Jeez.
He hates America.
See, but the thing about these commercials is I don't want to give them any sort of gravitas, but at least they're legit. The thing with the noose is just a publicity stunt.
Yeah.
This guy's running in Kentucky against Rand Paul.
He knows
he's
he's not
not
gonna win.
going to win. He's trying to get Twitter followers to parlay that into a job at MSNBC.
There you go.
That's his goal.
That's what a lot of it always feels like to me is that they're looking. They know they're not going to win, especially in like specific districts. and
He's trying
Yeah.
to get attention so that he can make his next career move.
Well, he clearly literally wants victim points by actually putting a noose around his neck. Like, I can't think of a more direct parallel to being like, oh, look at me, I'm a victim. Give
Good
me a
night,
job
America.
at
I think that's
MSNBC.
it.
Oh man, we gotta
this is-
watch. Let me make sure I fix
Good
the
night,
audio.
America. Oh,
This
Night,
is
America.
one of the funnier.
goodness gracious.
Oh yeah, blow this one up.
Don't let the bed bugs bite.
Da, da, da.
Look at that color scheme.
It's so dark.
This is that meme where the kid's like, "Mommy, Donald Trump is a fascist."
It's like a red, white, like an American flag blanket.
Mommy. You asked me to wake you and tell you what happened in the election.
Oh no, he did not.
Yes, he did.
Oh,
Yes,
my
he did. That kid
gosh.
definitely did that.
No.
tomorrow.
Trump won.
Look at her face.
I thought you could only be president 2 times.
This is so cringe.
Not anymore.
Hold on. Wait a minute. He was.
Oh my gosh.
Just 1 second. All right.
Yes,
Just
second.
besides everything that is obviously wrong with this, if he was running for president after he had already served 2 terms, why would the kid be confused about the possibility of him winning? The idea that you can only have 2 terms is not voter enforced. It's not like we let them run again and then the American people go, no, he had 2 terms. We're not voting
But
for
only
him.
after he wins.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. They go,
exactly.
oh,
After,
no.
yeah.
But it's literally election night. She says Donald Trump might win, and he goes, "Wake me up when we find out." And then she wakes up and he goes, "But I thought you could only serve 2 terms." Like, then
It's
why did you
impossible.
ask? Then why did you ask? Making me get up in the middle of the night to tell you about something you didn't even know about.
She's
What are you
like,
doing?
son, we've been over this in some insane fascistic way that the Lincoln Project dreamed up. He changed the law. That's why he was running again. That's why there was the election.
I
Yeah,
gotta give a
exactly.
shout out because this ad was actually like, it may as well have been a Trump ad, like
This
an
is
ad
so good.
for Trump.
Yeah, dude. And so, yeah.
Like, I'm sure all the Trump supporters were like, yeah.
Like, this is hilarious. This got more play, I think, than any. It got more.
So good.
Remember the,
media, whatever it is.
Remember the Carpe Donktum meme
So good.
where it was like dun 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 dun.
Oh my
dun,
gosh,
dun,
that's
dun. And it's like
amazing.
Trump
Yeah, yeah.
2020, 2024, 2028, 2032, and then it just goes to infinity. And then they wrote articles where they were like, Trump supporters want Trump to be president for life.
So
They're
funny.
like Trump would be president for more than 2 terms. And you know who I love? FDR, best president we ever had. We need someone like him
Just
again.
like FDR.
They
Yeah.
worship the man.
He
was the
served
polio.
4 terms as president, by the way, FDR, before the 22nd Amendment was passed. But he died shortly into his 4th
Dude
term.
served so many terms they had to pass an amendment. They're
They
like,
sure
no,
did.
we're
Stop,
not, no more.
stop.
If you do so much of something that someone has to pass a constitutional amendment, you are a problem.
They say that FDR was the most fascist president. He and Woodrow Wilson. I don't want to derail.
No, yeah, they were
awful.
they were bad.
2 terms. You think that's good? President should be able to serve
Woodrow
more
was
than
a
2?
bad
One
dude.
term, 1 6-year term.
There you go.
1 6-year term.
Yeah, think about it. I mean, I'm not entirely fully settled on this. I just think, in terms of the president having to run for re-election, when you get into the last 2 years of their 4-year term, it turns into silly season.
Right.
And
Yeah.
people start cutting checks for,
Yeah.
okay, what vote do I need? Okay, I need minorities in Wisconsin. What do they need? And then federal money goes to them. Like that, like you get rid of that with 1 6-year presidential term. Now, that is assuming that I believe the president should have as much power as he does, which I do not, or she
Exactly.
does.
That's really insightful. It's very muddling to have a president running for office and trying to be the president.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like, I don't know, that doesn't seem crazy, 1 6-year term. Like, it seems like
Good
it's
compromise.
a good compromise.
You think
Yeah, I like
one
that.
4-year term is just not enough?
Well, 1 4-year term is your I don't know. I can be swayed.
Yeah, things happen fast now. They happen a lot faster than they used to. Information travels a lot faster.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and they push stuff off to set, like they start pushing stuff off on like what they plan to get done, right? So they're like, oh well, we'll focus on that for the 2nd term. So they start pushing stuff on the agenda off until term 2, under the context that they're actually going to win. So if you give them 1 6-year term, that forces them to do all that they want to work on right then, but then how do you talk about like Congress and the Senate? Like, would that be along the same lines as like?
I
Getting
don't know.
deep into the weeds there.
Yeah.
I mean,
So this ad, the Good Night America thing, was put up on October 22nd, 2020. I just think it's funny that they make this ad, and in 2019 we had the best numbers of our lives in the economy, and so the worst thing they could think of was that Trump would just win again, because they had no real argument against him. I honestly, you'd ask people like, okay, what don't you like about Trump? And they'd be like, he's a fascist or whatever. They wouldn't give you a real reason. That's why I think they made this ad, because they were like, people don't know why they hate Trump. They just want him to go away. Mm-hmm. And they don't want him to go away because people are screaming in their ears in the media. So they voted for a guy who tanked the economy, who
His son
is driving gas prices through the roof, apparently is conversing on the finer links to porn with his child. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. And so now here we are. The average person, spending like what? You're going to spend like $70 to $100 to fill up your gas tank? But hey, three terms of Trump. Oh, that would have been the worst, right?
There was literally the other day I was scrolling Instagram and I had 3 stories in a row where it was like friends posting their gas, like filling up their gas tank where it's like going over $80 and says thanks Joe Biden, and like all 3 of them were like, like one had like a sticker on it, one said thanks Joe Biden, the other one just was like a middle finger, and it was just all people focusing on the fact that they can't afford to drive anymore.
I swear, I think it's the Federal Reserve has been planning to crash this for a while, and they're blaming Trump and Biden, and they're making us blame Trump and Biden. And this has just been a fascist move since they know it was falling apart.
Who's blaming Trump?
Well, some people that just hate him. And
yeah.
But it's these guys are not the ones that caused this. This is like banking cartels.
Let's talk about.
I think the QAnon people who think he had a third term are blaming him. They're like, why is he letting this happen?
Yeah, that was actually one of the things I will give. What was that guy's name? Jordan Klepper, is that his name?
Not sure.
He talks to a QAnon guy and he's like, so you think Trump is really the president? He's like, yes, he is. He's like, why is he making gas prices so high? And the guy's like, no, that's Joe Biden. He's like, but you said that Trump was president. I'm like, yeah, okay, those people. But let's talk about what's going to happen in November. So Joe Rogan on his show said he's a liberal. Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks responds. He says, it's amazing how unaware people are. Joe Rogan just said, quote, I'm so liberal, like I talk about it all the time, like I am not a conservative. Based on what? All he's done for the past 2 years is extreme right-wing propaganda. But in his mind, he's still a compassionate liberal. I can't name a single thing Rogan was in the news for in the last 2 years that was a left-wing position. I can't name a single thing he has criticized the right wing for. He still promotes lunatic right-winger Alex Jones. And in his mind, he's on the left, hilarious and ridiculous.
Hold on, can I say something? Yes, Cenk, there's a reason for that, because the status quo within the dominant media culture is that you do not get to say things that are right-leaning. So of course he's not going to be in the news for any of his left-wing opinions.
That's not true, though.
You don't get in trouble for those.
That's not true. Joe was in the news for tons of left-wing stuff, supporting Bernie Sanders, supporting Andrew Yang, and supporting universal basic income numerous times. The issue is that Cenk doesn't actually read the news. He hears the news from someone else. And so when they're like, did you hear Joe Rogan said a naughty word? He goes, that's the news. When you actually go to the news websites, you're like, oh, Joe Rogan's promoting universal basic income, which is almost socialism. And he says not promoting left-wing ideas.
Well,
and fair enough, but fair enough, but also the stories that have been the biggest, the ones that have been the most controversial, and the ones that have resulted in people coming after him and thus became giant stories were all the ones where he had right-wing perspectives, because those are the ones you are not allowed to have.
Dude, it's the Elon meme. It's the Elon meme of like the left has gone so much further to the left. The people
and
like
authoritarian.
The Joe Rogans of the world who kind of just stayed put. The Joe Rogans, the Bill Maher's are kind of like, no, you guys changed a lot. And so in his mind, I can see him still thinking that he's I don't know if he would call himself progressive, but liberal-minded. I can see him thinking that.
I say it all the time. People who don't read the news versus people who do their research. Yeah, because granted, like reading the news might not inform you.
This is an example of Cenk. He doesn't say that Rogan has not said a left-wing view. He says, I can't name one, because he hasn't been following him. He hasn't been listening to him.
Exactly the point. So you see Cenk Uygur. He comes out and he criticizes Joe Rogan, saying he's only spewing right-wing propaganda. Fast Company wrote an article a couple weeks ago saying why you need to beware of right-wing comedy like Joe Rogan or something like that. No, I'm not. I'll pull it up in a second. If you don't actually investigate, if you don't actually listen to people and you just believe the narrative machine, well, then, of course, Cenk is surprised by this.
Do you think the news has gotten more dishonest, or it was always this dishonest?
It was always.
Always, yeah. They've just become more overt in certain ways, and they're also different audiences they've decided to pander to that have made it more obvious to us that they're dishonest.
Take a look at this from Fast Company. Why you need to take right-wing comedy seriously. From Joe Rogan to the Babylon Bee to Steven Crowder. The new book, That's Not Funny, deconstructs their appeal and why it matters. Yo, Joe Rogan was a famous comedian 20 years ago. Like, what do you mean right wing? He was on news radio. He's hilarious. He's got Netflix specials. He does stand up. He was on Fear Factor. He's not a right wing guy. He's never been. If you can't realize that this mainstream sitcom comedian hosting these shows who is a liberal, if you can't see that, you've moved on this one. I don't know how I can help you.
Do you think it's a publicity thing? Like, do you think Cenk is trying to create controversy with the biggest podcast in the world to get attention?
I do.
I don't think so.
Like, he's not helping people with that tweet. He's just getting attention.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
No, I
He
think
was trending on Twitter today.
I think listen, if you live in a world where you only hear from the establishment machine and you think Joe Rogan is right wing because you don't actually investigate anything he said, you're going to get frustrated. You're going to get angry.
Oh, that's a good point.
That anger that we feel about Joe Biden doing illicit business dealings with Ukraine and China through his son, about the quid pro quo with the prosecutor in Ukraine, with the president, fire the prosecutor, you're not getting the $1 billion, which you had no authority to do. I get angry.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's no accountability.
Of course.
Russiagate. I get angry. There's no accountability.
So I feel
but
about
hey,
nanothermite, man.
You know what? We've investigated these stories. I've looked up a bunch of facts. I've seen sworn affidavits on the Ukraine Biden scandal. And so I say, I believe beyond a reasonable doubt that there was illicit business dealings here. In order for there to be accountability, we now need a legitimate investigation to determine that. But I am angry because it's not happening. There is actual probable cause. Joe Biden had no authority to do that. He did it. He admitted it on camera. The prosecutor signed a sworn affidavit saying he did it. Courts ruled Ukraine were meddling, all of that stuff. And I say, I want accountability. Cenk Uygur hears narrative garbage nonsense without fact checking and says Joe Biden is right wing, and he's genuinely angry about it.
You said Joe Biden. Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan.
But I mean, maybe
Genuinely,
Joe Biden.
I think Cenk. You know what I think happens is he lives in this narrative world of the corporate press, and the ground keeps dropping out beneath his feet. Like when Trump won, everyone's seen that compilation video of the Young Turks losing it because Trump broke them. They couldn't believe it. They had been told over and over again what was true and what was going to happen.
I got to talk to Cenk about Hillary's emails. When that dropped and they went to WikiLeaks, like, what did that, because I remember him talking about it or at least acknowledging it and being like, well, the DNC is complete trash. But like, where is he? Why is he still not like, okay, let's go deep on the military industrial complex now? Instead, he's like still hung up on the partisanship.
It's tribalism versus principle. A principled person says, I'm not a fan of the Republicans, but hey, if they're destroying public records, Trump was accused of something similar with cell phones or whatever. I'm like, yeah, we should know about that. We need to hear about that. It doesn't happen. When you've got the tribal side that says we ignore what our side does, we only care if your side does it.
Well, that doesn't help your side. Like, making bad faith arguments or completely ignoring things doesn't help you.
Well, maybe. I think what we're seeing now is that the two factions are increasingly becoming NPCs versus player characters. So that's why I say the uninitiated versus the discerning. People who see the news and say, I don't know if I believe that. I'm going to fact check it. Versus people who are like, wow, that's true. They lied to me 100 times, but I'll believe it this time. And then you end up fighting over it. I mean, look, I got to tell you, when we bring up the left says the exact same things about the right says about the left. And it's like, who's right? And I've heard this from these politically uninitiated people who are like, I'm not, on the left, but the right says the exact same thing. And you got to, no. Jussie Smollett obviously was a hoax. Covington kids, hoax. Hands up, don't shoot, hoax. Russiagate, Ukrainegate. We go through the list all the time. At a certain point, you might be like, the things the left believes tend to be false. How about that? And then maybe you can be like, maybe there's a reason why politically homeless, post-liberals, moderates, libertarians, and conservatives all occupy a similar space. Maybe there's a reason Christian conservative and traditional liberal can sit in a room and agree and make jokes with each other because we know, for the most part, what is true and what isn't. They don't. They don't understand. So everyone must be far right. Even Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has been pro-universal basic income. Let me tell you, Joe Rogan wants the government to issue blanket checks to all people to give them cash to live off of. And bro, if that is right wing, then I don't know what left wing even is.
Also, I don't think you can be in favor of legal abortion and be considered a conservative. I'm sorry. And like, he doesn't call himself one, but they do. It's like, that's not a conservative position at all. Like, if anything's not conservative, it's that.
Well, I'll tell you, man, it's like the modern left just says whatever the modern left says.
Yeah.
So that's why when you talk to these people, they argue with me, these progressives. Tim, late-term abortion never happens. Why are you even talking about it? And I'm like, because you just said women should be able to do it.
Still be able to do it.
Well, I'm like, do you think women should be able to have an abortion at 9 months? It's the woman's choice. Okay, well, I have an issue with that. It never happens. Why are you even bringing it up? Because you said it should. Mm-hmm. Because you're trying to pass a law to make it happen, bro. Yeah, there's no principle. And that's what I think it ultimately comes down to. There is a great filter happening right now in politics where the people who don't read the news are drifting off to the left, and the people who do, the people who don't fact check are drifting to the left, and people who do are drifting to the right.
And well, not only that, I think a lot of the people who don't read the news are also being pushed to the right by people on the left they see behaving absurdly. Or also, it's possible they're staying in the same place, but the left is moving so far to the left that they seem right-wing by comparison.
Hey, look, I'm going to say it right now. You know what? You're right. Joe Rogan's right-wing. He's right-wing. I mean, Fast Company says it. So to all of my friends who voted for Joe Biden, you like Joe Rogan, you're conservatives. So you're all right-wing. So, it's too bad.
This is fun because they will call literally every single person who's outside of their bubble of maybe 3% of the population right-wing. And then whenever our country passes any kind of legislation which is conservative, they go, this is not how a representative democracy is supposed to work. Well, I don't know. You spend all your time calling 95% of the population right-wing, so why would it be a threat to our democracy for more right-leaning legislation to be passed?
When they're saying our democracy, they're not talking about you.
No, they are not.
They're
That's
talking
right.
about...
They literally mean our.
Right.
Not yours.
This is the mistake Republicans often make. These progressives will say, or these media personalities, it's a danger to our democracy. They're not saying you, conservative, and them. They're not saying the American people. They're saying it's a threat to the cult's efforts at building a cult democracy.
Yeah, you know what? I think having two parties is a threat to their democracy. It should just be one, right?
Yeah.
It should just be the Democratic Party. Then there'd never be another threat to our democracy again.
The Democratic Party of the American people, or the Democratic People's Party of America.
That's right. Something like that.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the People's Party. The Democrats represent the people, like the People's Party of
Yeah.
the United States. Yeah.
Yeah.
The People's Republic.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
The
Has that been used
Democratic
before?
People's Republic of America.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
I love it.
Interesting.
Wow.
I would also
DPRA.
I would also hazard a guess that the average person, the politically uninitiated, doesn't know that any of those are hoaxes, except for maybe the Smollett one.
Right,
probably.
If you polled the average person who says, I don't pay attention to politics, I don't know what's going on, and probably only because Dave Chappelle pointed it out.
Let me. I'm going to ask you, Jobob, a question.
Yeah.
Nobody chime in. This is a question for Jobob.
Uh-oh.
How many buildings fell in 9/11?
Fell completely?
Yeah, collapsed.
3.
You are correct, good sir.
Yeah.
Most people don't know that. Now, I'm not trying to start a conversation around 9/11. I'm trying to point out that one of the most culturally significant historical moments, and most people would say too, because they didn't actually look into what happened. But I'll tell you this, a lot of these people would say never forget, but they never learned in the first place.
So, in that same line, I was hanging out with a couple friends, I'll be vague, and they were shocked that not 5 or 6 police officers died in the J6 riots. That's what they thought.
Right.
And they were like, I was like, no. There's some complications with identifying what caused the police officer's death. I'm fuzzing up the.
He had a stroke or something?
A stroke
Like
afterward
a
or
day
something
later?
like that. Yeah, something like that. But in their mind, 5 or 6 cops were killed that day.
Ethan Klein just tweeted in response to Donald Trump that Trump incited an insurrection that killed 6 people, and it's like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? You're talking about like, well, I think some dude fell, some lady got trampled, and then Ashley Babbitt, I think,
Ashley
Yeah.
Babbitt.
got shot.
Well, I'm not saying that like at all lightens what happened that day. I'm just saying factually,
No, right.
that's just incorrect.
How many right now? The Daily Beast has been downranked by NewsGuard. They're a fake news website now. They got the red exclamation point because they completely fabricated or just fell for the Kyle Rittenhouse lies. So there were articles written that said Kyle Rittenhouse killed black people, and it's just they just made it up.
That was another thing.
These
Again,
people
in
live
this
in weirdo world, man.
group of friends that I have in California thought Kyle Rittenhouse shot a couple black people. Okay, I understand how you would think that if you're barely paying attention.
Yeah.
You know, you were saying you were feeling anger when you thought about the Ukraine stuff with Biden and like how other people just don't get it. I felt like that about 9/11 after the buildings came down, and it was just like, okay, the investigation's over. Nothing bad happened. It was just a couple of planes. And I was like, well, a couple of planes, 3 buildings. And no one. It was like near impossible to find people that actually cared about it. And I was like, I went to anger and depression. So from like 2007, 8, 9, 10, I was suicidal. Like, people they really don't care. And now I've gotten past that, and I care. I'm just going to do what I can, even though I'm disillusioned.
It's the same thing. The only thing they cared about was adhering to the social norms and narrative to fit in. So if you said something like, hey, I think we need a better investigation into this because, like, we spent more money, I think, on Bill Clinton, banging an intern than we did on that. And then they'd be like, what are you saying? This is ridiculous. I was sitting down with some journalists, and this was in, was it 2012? When did we get Osama bin Laden? Was that 2012?
I think so.
Something like
I believe
that.
so, maybe
2012,
2011. Was it?
2013?
Let me
I'm
double
not
check.
sure. I remember being in college.
It might have been
at the time.
2011. Yeah, pull that one up. I'm sitting with a bunch of journalists, and we're at a bar.
2011.
2011.
I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was at a bar in New York, and then someone was bringing up the story, and I laughed, and I said, "Man, that whole thing played out like a bad action movie." And then this journalist gets really angry and goes, "I am sick of hearing this conspiracy about." And I was like, "Whoa, what are you talking about?" And he's like, "You're acting like it didn't happen. You're claiming it did." I was like, "I didn't say that at all. I said that whole thing played out like a bad action movie. Did you read the story on what happened with, like, he grabbed his wife, then he didn't grab his wife, and they dumped his body out of a helicopter?" And he was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Yeah, it sounds like a bad action movie." And they're like, "But it happened." I was like, "I didn't say it didn't, dude. Calm down." Anything that deviated from the approved norm, people just snap. They're like, "Don't deviate from machine." And I'm like, bro, chill. Why are you getting so angry about this? This is what happens to people when anything threatens their constructed worldview. So what's happening now is with people who have the ability to read information on the internet, fact check things for themselves and be like, "Oh yeah, look at this. Joe Biden did say if you don't fire the prosecutor, you're not getting $1 billion. Wow, the media lied to me." The people who don't want to hear it plug their ears and go la 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 la. And then when you say it to them, they get angry. Shut up. You're challenging my worldview. Brandon Strzok told us the other day how he ended up walking away from the Democrats because someone told him that Trump never mocked a disabled reporter. And he was like, yes, he did. We saw him do it. I've seen the video. And he didn't want to watch the video. And so he said, okay, I'm going to watch this because it's going to be obvious propaganda. And he said when he watched it, it actually hurt. It hurt him. Like, he experienced pain
physically
from realizing his worldview was wrong and he couldn't deny it anymore.
How what do you guys think of what is the, on a scale of 1 to 10 throughout history, where is politics just in general at right now in the country?
What do you mean at?
Like what is 1 and what is 10?
In terms, 10 being like everybody's talking about it all the time, and 1 is nobody's
it's a 10.
talking.
No.
See,
We're in it. That's why it seems
No,
like that.
no,
I would
it's-
say somewhere between 4 and 6.
So
No,
let's
it's a 10.
So let's operate on that really quick.
Maybe as a relativity scale, maybe.
So,
But like World War II, I would have thought it was more.
It's a 10 right now, and I say that because that doesn't mean everyone at all times absolutely only talks about politics. Obviously, Brett talks about pop culture stuff on Pop Culture Crisis. But what I mean is when you see podcasters who got started.
Well, so let's just pretend there was an election, and let's just say one candidate got, 80 million votes. And the other candidate, say, got 80 million votes. How many people are there in the United States of America?
320.
Yeah, so that's about half the people voted.
How many are voting age?
Okay,
200?
so you discount the people under 18. But
Right.
even then, like, let's just say, hypothetically, 40% of people don't vote.
Actually, I think that might be the voting age block.
No way.
Now, obviously, the let's see, 252 million people are voting age. Yeah. Okay. So 2/3 of the voting age population, I think.
So what is that? 100 million people don't vote?
Something
what's
like
my
that,
math? Yeah. That's a
240
huge,
million people were eligible. 66% submitted ballots. 158 million.
That's a huge number.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and especially given the fact that it seems like we're inundated constantly with political discussion, political discourse, whatever you want to call it, and still a huge percentage of people don't vote.
I got an idea. Here's what we do. If people don't vote, and the amount of people who don't vote is greater than the amount of votes for greater than the greatest amount of votes for a single candidate, then there's no president.
Perfect.
That's it.
The United States stops.
Can we just skip
just stop.
to that
Look,
part?
It stops.
66.1.
It's put on hold until we can figure it out.
66.1% of people submitted ballots. That means didn't vote would have won.
Well, here's
So-
no,
so-
here's what I think we need to do. We need to have a third option on the ballot that says literally anyone else. And if you pick it, we just if it wins, a random person from the
Demarchy.
population is selected, and they are the president.
King of the
Yeah.
bean.
It's called
kinda
demarchy.
there
Yeah.
with the ranked choice voting thing, but not to get off on
No,
that.
no. Demarchy would be like you'd get president, you'd get Congress duty. It's like one day you go to your mailbox and you got like a certified letter, and it's like you've been chosen for Congress duty. And you're like, ugh. I'm going to Capitol Hill. I've been chosen for Congress duty. You're there for a couple months.
That honestly would be terrible. But what I think what I'm trying to get at ultimately is that there's this huge attempt to push people to one side or the other by the respective sides, to pull people into their side or push people to their side or whatever it is that you want to call it. While in reality, everything is based on turnout. Are people going to show up and are people going to turn out? In terms of running actual campaigns, especially at the local level, you don't really care about changing the mind about somebody who's not registered your particular party or whatever candidate you're running. You're really caring about turning the people out who you already know are going to vote for you. And so I feel like that's part of the big reason why the political rhetoric is so heated, because it's not about convincing people to your ideas. It's getting the people who already agree with you to just show up.
Here's a fascinating thing. In order for conservatives to win more voters, they need only convince a person to
Do nothing.
No. To search for the information on their own. To take the initiative upon themselves, read the news. The left needs to strictly control the news and make sure they don't get access to what's really going on.
And also, what is most important to them is flooding the voting booths with uninformed people. So this is why you constantly see get out and vote campaigns where some left-wing celebrity, which is to say most, if not all of them, is on screen telling you that you need to get out there and vote, because they know if somebody needs a celebrity to tell them to vote, they don't know anything about politics, and they are therefore going to choose whoever the Democrats are putting up.
That's going to backfire on them. You're right. That is absolutely happening. I think that's going to backfire on them. Currently, you've got the border situation being what it is. There's the argument to be made that the conservatives want the labor, the liberals want the votes. Especially when it comes to Hispanics, we've seen the demographic shifting heavily towards the whole conservative side, meaning that a bunch of the liberals are trying to depend on those votes incoming, and it's gonna backfire. Because I think the left has gone so far left. You've got a family-oriented, generally heavily religious population who they used to send get out the vote campaigns to their community, all of a sudden realizing, holy cow, these guys are way more left than I want, and I honestly think it's going to backfire.
Yeah, people are questioning the narrative way more than they were a decade ago. And in 2009, part of the reason why I was disillusioned with life is because it seemed like 7% of the people cared. Now it's like 20, 28, 27% of the people. It's enough.
Yeah.
It's enough people. And those people, we used to be Democrat, Brandon Strzok, my parents, they know, like, they will question nonsense. They will question the things they're told. And they're old school liberals, man.
Not everybody, though.
Probably
A lot of
more
people
on
are
every
like,
night, though, when shows like this exist.
A lot of people are like, I watch CNN. They don't lie.
Do you
But
think
they do.
Do you think that Democrats or liberals, whatever you want, I don't like labels necessarily, but do you think the left as a side has another Barack Obama somewhere? Because
Michelle
the Barack
Obama.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Barack Obama was, whether or not you agree with his policies, a political superstar. Like, fantastic at making you feel good. And like we're all saying, that's what's driving people to the polls on the left side of the aisle. Do you
Feelings.
think they have one of those in the wings? Because we were talking about the 2024 election downstairs and what happens there. Currently, I don't see a Democrat frontrunner.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. They need a guy. Unfortunately, I think society has a lot of disillusioned young men, and that's why they're attracted to Donald Trump. He's a strong male figure. Michelle's great, personality-wise, like Obama was great, but I don't know if she would appeal to those young men, which Obama did in spades.
Oh, totally.
The only other one I can see is like Beto O'Rourke, but he's such trash these days. I don't think. I could see them trying to push him though, but he's
I
just
think
not
he's too-
charismatic.
No way.
He's also too just out there. There's too much baggage there.
He's so bad.
Yeah,
Check
He's
this out.
got way too many problems.
I got this here tweet
Oh, yeah.
from David Hookstead. David
Oh.
is let's see,
Coworker
what he
of
doesn't have
mine.
Oh, okay, so you know him.
Yeah.
He says, Beto O'Rourke says people who currently own semi-automatic rifles should have them confiscated.
Oh.
22 seconds. Let's hear what Mr. O'Rourke has to say.
I just took the position that may not be politically popular, may be too honest, that not only should no one be able to purchase an AR-15 or an AK-47 because they're designed to kill humans, and that high-impact, high-velocity round will just tear up everything inside. You'll bleed out before we can get you back to life. But I don't think that the people who have them right now in civilian use should be able to keep them. I just took the position.
Now, I wonder if there's more to that, but come on, this is the guy who said, heck yeah, we're taking your AR-15.
Yeah, it's not a shock.
So now apparently he's coming back out saying he's going to confiscate your weapons. Yo, they lie and they say, no one's talking about taking your guns. And they're like, oh yeah, we will.
I wonder
Totally.
what their internal polling shows.
It shows that conservatives are overwhelmingly pro-gun and Democrats
totally.
are split. So the
Yeah.
overwhelming majority of this country is like, now we want to keep our guns.
Yeah.
Then they come out with these fake stats where they're like, most people support background checks. It's like, okay, yeah, we have those already.
Exactly.
So what do you mean by that? And they're like, well, when we ask people, it's almost a Mountain Bailey. They'll say, well, no. We mean restricting private sales, requiring background checks there. And I'm like, that's not what you asked people in the poll. In the poll, it said, do you think there should be background checks for gun buyers? And they say, yes. You didn't get specific because at almost every single point of sale, there's going to be a background check. Then they say, no, we mean, shut up. You want a registry. That's what they want.
I just think Beto wants attention. Like
Yes.
honestly, like the stunt that he pulled at the press conference, I'm sure you guys covered that, where he walked up and talked and like it's just a publicity stunt, and I don't like stuff like that being made political. Also, just for the sake of being fair, I also didn't like when Governor Abbott used the shooter's name immediately after it happened. I didn't like that either. I thought we were all on the same page of like, we're not going to glorify these people.
I want to pull up this tweet from Jonathan Haidt, because we're fans of his assessment, but he has one of the worst tweets I've ever seen. He said, the best thing I've ever read about reducing gun violence is this 2017 essay by Nick Kristof, recently updated. If we take a public health approach modeled after cars, there is so much we can do even in a divided country. Wrong! And I'll tell you why. Here's what he's proposing. Background checks. 22% of guns are obtained without one. And you need a background check at any federally licensed dealer. There are some private sales. But whenever they're talking about these tragic events, they were purchased legally. Background checks didn't change it. Safe storage, trigger locks, as well as guns and ammunition stored separately, especially when children are in the house. Well, that's great. Someone kicks your door in the middle of the night and they're going to violate your wife, and you're like, hold on, I need to open the safe with the bullets, then open the safe with the gun, then load the rifle, and then I can save you, honey. End immunity for firearm companies. That's a subsidy to a particular industry. No, it isn't. It makes no sense. What are we going to do? If someone manufactures glass bottles and then someone uses that to crack someone over the head, you sue the bottle maker? It's like, you're not supposed to commit crimes. Protection orders. Keep men who are subject to domestic violence protection orders from having guns. We already do. Straw purchases. We already don't allow that. Ban bump stocks. Okay, that actually happened under Trump, but that makes no sense because full auto was never a big issue here. Ban under 21s. Constitutional violation. Ammunition checks. Experimentation with a one-time background check for anybody buying ammo. We already have background checks on people buying weapons. What would that accomplish? Research smart guns. Researching means nothing. Doesn't mean anything. So this is, for Jonathan Haidt to say that this is, even in a divided nation, we can do those things. No, you can't, because you have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not going to even pretend that I know, for the most part, what I'm talking about, because I'm not even an expert on guns. But I can look right away and be like, you have no idea what you're talking about, and that's the problem. The ignorant Democrat voters are voting for their feelings, and they don't know anything. We demand background checks. Okay, you win. Oh, you guys, all right, I agree, you win. We have background checks now. Next.
Well, they're like, these people committing crimes are breaking every law in order to do them.
Whoa.
Do we need more laws?
Yes. That will do it.
I think that'll fix it. Yeah. There was Marco Rubio got a bunch of heat, I think in like 2015, where Marco Rubio's claimed that no recent mass shootings would have been prevented by gun laws. And then Glenn Kessler of the Washington Post, the fact checker over there, not only didn't give it any Pinocchios, he gave it the rare Geppetto. I'm like, yeah, no, he's right. That all of the mass shootings wouldn't, none of that unfortunately would have been stopped. Choose my words carefully here. Marco Rubio said that none of those shootings would have been stopped by any sort of gun laws. And even the Washington Post said, yeah, no, he was right about that. And the problem is what you were saying is that people are just ignorant on the issue.
Yep.
Like my biggest thing too is also just asking questions about implementation.
Oh, I just say,
How do you
what's
do
an
that?
assault weapon?
Oh, I say
And
that
actually,
too.
The first thing I think of is if you ask the average Democrat voter like what they believe an AR-15 is, they're going to tell you that the AR stands for assault rifle, and they're not going to be able to define to you that they're going to think that it's full auto. I would guess that most of them think that's full auto.
Shout out to our good friend Ethan Klein. He was talking on H3, and he was mentioning something about people going in front of Abbott's house with AR-15s, and he goes, I'm like, is that what you think those things do?
Yeah,
What?
no, they actually
no wonder
do.
you want to ban them.
Well,
Right.
so
Scary.
I as someone who went to an art school, I am an expert on people who don't know anything about guns, but talk about them a lot. And so I remember I was having a conversation.
That's like embedding to research, like you're going
it was like
in
a
the
case
tribe
study
method,
kind of thing.
Going
Yeah,
deep,
yeah, I
yeah.
went undercover.
Thanks for doing that for us.
You're welcome. So I was having a conversation with a friend, and she said to me that she was like, well, I don't think that we should have like these semi-automatics. And I was like, do you know what a semi-automatic? She's like, it's semi-fully, you pull the trigger and it sprays the bullets. And I was like,
Holy
no,
crap.
no, that's not what any of that means. And I tried to explain that was not the case. And their response was to just insist that we still didn't need to have them.
I wish I had the clip, but I remember
Cool
watching.
person in other ways, by the way,
Yeah.
but just was out to lunch on that one.
I remember watching.
Jesse Smollett is trending.
Probably because of that.
The
Because
news
of this
thing.
ad?
He's got a,
Sorry, I
he's got a
interrupted you,
new
though.
he's got a new show coming out on BET Plus. He's back at work.
Oh, nice.
Really?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Yes,
Is that a joke?
he's directing and starring in a show about breakdancing or something like that. Something. It's like an LGBTQ plus film that BET Plus is making.
No, he's trending because everyone's saying Amber Heard is Jesse Smollett.
Jesse Smollett. I love it.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I forgot. Oh
Totally
no!
derailed.
Last week I was watching MSNBC or one of your big cable news networks, and they were talking about gun control. And like your point, both of the anchors were like, "Yeah, we need gun control. Have you ever shot a gun?" Like, no, I've never shot a gun. Have you shot a gun? No, never. I would never shoot a gun. So we have two people who've never shot a gun talking about gun control, clearly not knowing anything about the thing that they're trying to control.
Yeah, they need
Remember-
to learn how to control guns. Those two people.
Remember,
There you go. Yeah.
remember the reporter who got PTSD from firing an AR-15?
An AR, yeah.
God.
And
then-
then people were
What was
replying with
that?
comments of like them training their young daughters
Yeah.
to
Like a
shoot
pink
it.
one?
And like, yeah, they're like, this is actually not that.
There's a
hard.
video going viral of a little girl dual wielding, I don't know what she's got, 1911s, and she's using two fingers to pull the trigger. And then they're like, this is child abuse. Look what they're doing to that child. And I'm like, well, the real problem is that they're having her fire two handguns simultaneously, which is just terribly inaccurate.
Yeah.
And there's no reason to do that. There's a meme I love, and it said, actually, maybe I can pull it up and try and find it. I posted it on Instagram. It was hilarious.
Does Jesse Smollett actually have a show? I
Yep.
can't tell if that was a joke.
I forget what the name of the. We kind of mentioned it in Podluck the other day. It's
It's called MAGA Country, and it's a
That's-
sitcom.
yes.
Them being out of place.
about
in a new area.
about breakdancing MAGA supporters. That would be fantastic.
Who wander the streets of Chicago at 2 a.m. in
I
the
think-
cold.
I think
Here's the meme I got.
Oh, Lord.
It says children and firearm safety. Children and guns are simply a bad idea. Your average firearm is too unwieldy for a typical child to operate in a safe and effective manner.
That's right.
Children are much better suited to crew-served weapons.
Correct.
The semi-stationary characteristic of a mortar or heavy machine gun relies less on the child's physical strength and stamina, and also builds teamwork.
Yeah.
And it shows a little boy and little girl, and it shows like a machine gun and a mortar and a thumbs up.
I actually had the thought after.
I don't
Just
think
a bunch of
that
kids.
should be legal.
After this Texas
The meme or
Could they fly drones from an iPad?
Yeah.
They would be better at that.
I was
Yeah.
picturing like kids, third graders getting gun safety lessons
Yeah.
in government school. If it's going to be in the United States government schools, that like if a shooter comes in and kills the teacher, and there's 12 kids in the class ducking for their desks, and one of the kids sees the teacher's sidearm that the teacher was killed before it could use, the kid, what do you just want him to huddle there until he gets shot? No, I want the kid to pick up the gun and end the shooter. Like I don't care if they're 9 or 15 or 21. If they can do it, do it.
Well, let's phrase this in a legal manner. Children should be capable of defending their lives or the lives of others.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
Boom,
Just like
done,
anyone
nailed it.
else.
Yep.
I mean, when it comes to your life, yes, they should.
Well, they want more autonomy for kids when it comes to, all the stuff that they shouldn't have autonomy in. But when it comes to like actually teaching kids to use guns like they used to in schools, like there are pictures from the 50s and 60s where
Yep.
middle schoolers are learning to shoot, like they're learning marksmanship. They were competing with each other. I think that's such a great idea, and wish that we hadn't gotten rid of that.
Yeah, welding as well.
Yeah,
things
same
like
idea.
that, carpentry and
Yeah.
stuff.
Swords.
Sword fighting.
Yeah.
We did that in
Swords
college.
101 with Professor Poole.
Yeah, correct. Yes.
Well, no, James Lindsay.
Oh yeah.
oh,
yeah.
I'm
Of
like
course.
Yeah,
way
he knows,
more-
he's like trained with the Gian.
Yeah. he
I'm
has
way
a
more
list.
bullish on gun rights for kids because after this Texas thing, man, the cops stopped them from going in and stopping it. Like, you left these kids to their own devices in a classroom as they were getting mowed down. I am not comfortable with that.
Yo, something weird is going on there because like the left is entertaining conspiracy theories about what happened.
Yeah.
Tell me one.
Well,
Everyone
the cops
is.
Yeah, what do you
cops
mean?
aren't cooperating anymore with the investigation. The police stopped the intervention, and so the left is like, "What is going on?" Well, it serves their narrative because they hate cops, right? So when you have a story about the cops barring parents from saving their kids and not going in themselves, they're like, what's this all about?" Then you've got the one of the guys involved, one of the cops, I guess, got a seat on the city council or something. So the left has been pushing these conspiracy theories.
Well, also, I mean, what happened there is the perfect example of what gun control does. The police stop law-abiding citizens from protecting themselves and people they care about, while the maniac who kills people still doesn't and gets away with it. And that is the function that those police officers served in that instance.
Yeah.
I'm like, obviously, it'd be ridiculous to give a third grader the right to open carry a handgun.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
in the presence of a supervised adult that is licensed,
Right.
maybe that you could legalize their ability to handle one for training purposes. And then if it hits the fan, and it's wartime in the classroom like it was in Texas last week, these young soldiers can defend themselves.
Young soldiers.
They have no other choice at that point. My God, a girl smeared blood on her face and laid down so that she looked dead so that she didn't get killed. I would have rather that she dove for a handgun and ended the guy.
No one else is going to do it. And I have to say that I think that the only way out of this is to teach everyone responsibility. And I do mean everyone. The only way to stop active shooters like this is to make them understand that if they walk into a shop or a store that they hope to rob or a bank, they will be met with lethal force. There is no other way out. I'm sorry to say it. That is the way of the world. We've been very protected. We've lived in like this marshmallow utopia for a really long time. We have a hard time seeing hard truths.
It is interesting to see like my friends who are all posting stuff about like ACAB in like 2020 now saying like, well, no, you don't need a gun. The
Give 'em to the
cops
cops.
are going to show
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
and they're going to save you.
And then the
Dude,
cops, in an instance where the cops didn't show up and save them.
I was like, it's a horrible example. This is like it's like if this was like if this was a movie about the police, this would be like the opposite of a movie. It's like they're actually the worst people on earth.
You got to speak their language. Here's what I say to them. Do you think that police are racist? Well, of course,
They'll
yes,
say
they
yes,
say.
yeah.
Okay. Do you think that white supremacists will give up their guns if the guns are made illegal? No, of course they won't. Okay. Do you think racist cops will enforce the law against white supremacists who refuse to give up their guns? And they say, yeah, of course they won't. Do you think that police will use the justification of gun checks to raid and violate the Fourth Amendment rights of black people? Well, yeah. So you're saying you want to pass a law that you think that racists won't enforce against other racists, but will be weaponized against black and brown people?
Yeah, sounds good.
I mean, that's the entirety of their narrative. Cops are racist. Cops protect other racists. Cops arbitrarily enforce against black people. So they want laws. And I said, you know what's going to happen? I was like, so what? A racist cop can go to any black person's home and just say, gun check because you passed the red flag laws. But I don't have any guns. Well, we got to search their house. Too bad. Yeah. I'm like, is that what you're advocating for?
I mean,
all gun control is racist.
Well, left-wing positions don't involve that much forethought. Here's what's required. You say, I have good intentions. Pass my law. Okay, well, what is your law going to result in? I have good intentions.
That's
It's
right.
like,
Bad
okay,
thing.
what is the law going to do? How do you enforce it? All of the concerns you mentioned
thing.
are those yours, but I want good thing. And then you
I have
point out-
questions about good thing, Seamus.
You want bad thing.
Yeah.
You want
Yeah.
bad thing.
I don't want
You
bad
want
thing.
bad thing. You ask question
Why
about good
do
thing. You
you
want bad.
want
That is
bad
literally
thing?
the entire strategy. Why do you want bad thing?
Yeah.
Tim Pool is on the cover of the newspaper the next day. Man want bad thing.
true.
It's totally insane. And basically the whole idea is let's look at policy based on the intentions and not the results or the incentives that said policy creates.
Culturally, can this be a multifaceted approach? Like I'm all with you on the gun side too, but NPR 2-3 years ago did a mass shootings can be contagious research shows, which is extremely indicative of the way the media covers it too.
Yes.
Like, can we all get on the same page of how we're covering this sort of stuff? Like, you have to talk about it.
There are people in media who want to shock to make money. So they're not going to tell you the truth. They're then going to accuse us of trying to shock to make money.
But the fact that they will show the face and the name of these murderers when what they want is attention.
Right.
And
What
they'll
are
say,
people
here's
gonna
his
recognize?
manifesto, read it. everything that he wanted. Here you go.
Well, worse still is what happens is when the manifesto comes out and clearly the person's insane, the media will latch onto anything that smears the right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like here's a guy in was it Buffalo, I think,
Yeah.
who said he was a communist. He outright said it's like I'm authoritarian left, and they're like he's right wing. Like, well, he was racist,
Interesting.
but you know,
No, he was crazy.
The ADL says racism is right wing. I'm not even kidding. If a racist attacks someone, it's listed as a right wing attack. So it's funny. Like the ADL says right wing is anti-government. Right wing is like
Bad. They want bad thing.
Right.
but
it's like
racism bad, therefore racism right wing.
But here's the if a black nationalist who commits a racist murder is left wing, and the left was like, what? Like, how is that left wing? Ask the ADL. It's like black and white are left and right, I guess. That's how they
so
categorize things.
if an Asian commits a hate crime against a Hispanic, is that right wing or left wing?
Ooh.
That would probably
North.
not be listed on the ADL's website.
North.
Yeah, north. Yeah.
No, I don't know. North.
Yeah.
They just put a question mark on the map.
Yeah.
They're like, we don't know what that means, and we're not going to engage with it. But we've had black nationalist killings. We had one in Brooklyn, and they say it's left wing. It's like, but those guys had the same ideology as Hitler. Well, you know, he was black though. It's like, okay. But the white dude who hates the government, like leftists hate the Antifa are anarchists. No, I shouldn't say that. Many left-wing anarchists hate the government, and they're left, like they're you know, anarcho-communists or whatever. But if the person doesn't explicitly explain that they're socialists, it's right-wing.
Yep.
Okay, dude.
I feel like a hurricane, as a tornado of identity politics ripped my brain out of my body in the last like 37 minutes. Did you guys feel like that?
That was a great phrase.
Yeah, I like that.
Just the identity politics are thick in this one.
Yeah.
I don't know how to respond to it because I can't. I feel like no, it's one of those things where like acknowledging it causes it. I don't think that's it. I think we do have to acknowledge the division, but I don't know. I don't know.
Is it identity politics to acknowledge that specific political groups are trying to do things that they've outwardly stated they're trying to do?
If you just assume everyone in the group is like adheres to the group authority, it is.
So if 10 people walk into a bank and they're all wearing the same outfits and they all came in the same truck, and then 9 of them commit a bank robbery, and the last guy's like, "You go get them, guys," and then you're like, "You're all bank robbers." He goes, "I didn't do anything," or would they get arrested as charged as accomplice?
If he was the driver.
No, just someone who was with
Hanging
them.
out.
How
He
bad
was
would
just
your luck
standing
be?
there
A
outside.
group of 10 people
Wearing the
walk
same
into a
outfit?
bank all wearing the same clothes. 9 of them commit the robbery, and the 10th one just stands there watching and cheers them on.
He thought it was a flash mob, maybe.
How
Yeah.
bad would your luck be if you just happen to be wearing the same clothing as the bank robbers that day and you walk in and they start robbing? You're like, wait a minute.
You ever see the Thomas Crown Affair?
No.
When like the guy steals the painting and everyone's dressed in the same clothes, and so they're all moving around and like everyone's like, "Where would you go? It's him. No, he's there. He's there." Like there's just like some random guy who's wearing the same clothes and he's like, "Ah, crap."
It's
Like,
tough
you're in it.
it's tough when we talk about the Democrats or like the left, because I know there's people that are Democrat that aren't crazy, and then same with the right.
Right, but that's why we
There's-
say they're NPCs. Because if at this point you're like, you know, Jimmy Dore had a segment, the Young Turks were ragging on him, because he was like, if you're anti-war, you vote for Trump. And I'm like, that is objectively true.
Yeah.
Correct.
Trump didn't start any new wars, and he was pulling our troops out of the Middle East. Joe Biden started a new war. Well, I shouldn't blame him for starting a new war. I say he put our troops back into these existing wars like Syria, and now we have Ukraine, and they're sending money and funds. So it's like, oh, more new wars happening. I can't blame him. That's on Russia. But if you voted for Trump, you have Abraham Accords. What is it? Was it Israel and the UAE with a free trade agreement? I think.
Yeah.
That's
I believe
crazy.
it was the two. Yeah.
That was almost none of my friends had heard anything about that. When we talked
course
about
not.
when we talked about this, and they're like, "Why would you?" First of all, I didn't tell them who I voted for. They just kind of assumed whoever I might have voted for because I didn't post Biden memes and talk about that stuff. And I just asked them, I was like, "Do you have any idea about either the Abraham Accords or the progress we've made in the Middle East or North Korea?" And they're just like, "He's racist." And I'm like, I can't.
Oh
engage
wow, he is. What did he say?
I tried to explain to them the examples, like the thing, like you mentioned with Brandon Strzok about what was that with insulting
Yeah.
For me, it was the MS-13 gang members and how they framed how he said it as all members, all people from Mexico. And it's like when I saw the clip, it was
Right.
so egregious. I'm like, you have to be at least somewhat aware, but most people aren't going to take the time to actually look into it. So you can't.
I
make them look.
always just Socratic method, or people say like, yeah, well, Trump's a racist. They'll go, oh, really?
Oh yeah. What
What did he do? And then they're just like, I don't know.
That's crazy.
I had a
Oh,
co-
oh.
Yeah. I had
So
a co-
you don't know that he did anything racist?
Here's another good art school story. I was having a conversation with somebody, and they mentioned that they thought Trump was racist against immigrants, and I pointed out that immigrant was not a race, and they said that we should stop talking politics.
What usually happens is I'll say, like, what do you mean? If they'll say something like Trump is racist against Muslims or whatever.
Yeah, they'll mention
like,
the Muslim ban.
I'll be like, Muslim's not a race. Like, do you mean religious? And they'll be like, oh yeah, he's like bigot against religions. And I'll be like, oh, but the countries that he banned is like Venezuela was included on that list. And they'll be like, well, that was a red herring. I'll be like, oh, you think that he was just like, it was a conspiracy? Like he was pretending to ban Venezuela so that he could secretly ban Muslims, and that was like a plot? And they'll be like, well, I'll be like, I don't know. Is that what you think? Like, the government was secretly plotting to ban Muslims, so they pretended to ban people from Venezuela. Is that what happened? I just don't. I think it's just a simple answer. It's like Trump banned a bunch of countries because the Obama administration's DOJ or State Department said that there was risks there. But whatever, man. Trump did say, that he wanted to put a moratorium or whatever on Muslims entering the country or whatever.
Also, it's funny to point out to them that Obama was called deporter in chief.
That's right.
And that blows their minds, and they
don't like
find
that.
out how much he how many people he deported, but also about most of them don't know anything about the drone strikes or anything that went on before that because they weren't politically initiated before the Trump presidency.
I think I should hire canvassers, the people who like stand in the street and like wave to people, and just be like, hey, do you have a minute to talk about the greatest president ever, Barack Obama? Just 5 seconds, and they'll be like, yeah, sure, what's up? Like, we are trying to get petitions to provide legal immunity for Barack Obama because he killed an American child without charge or trial. We think that it was an accident and he should not be held accountable, nor should he give up his Peace Prize, and we're looking for signatures. And they'll be like, what? It's like, what? And if they say no, and it'll be like, come on, we don't want Obama to get in trouble over this.
That's a great way to.
He needed to kill that kid.
That's right.
We want to talk about the disposition matrix. What's that? Like, well, it's how he
So I figured out who to.
The disposition matrix.
Do you think people ever catch up to that sort of stuff? Like, do you think it ever will be widespread enough that people understand what's happening? Like, for example, like inflation numbers, right? Inflation numbers didn't tick down, which is what a lot of people that I talk to think. Like, oh yeah, inflation numbers went down because the White House said it went down. Like, no, it just didn't go up as much, right? Do you think anybody gets hip to that at any point?
Yeah, some people do.
I think a lot of, like I said, it's NPCs versus playing characters.
Yeah, only the ones who are already politically initiated and care enough to look into it would actually know enough to look farther.
At this point, the politically initiated people are like, I don't believe you anymore. So now, no matter what they say, it's like, I'm going to assume the opposite.
Yeah.
Like the media has become George Costanza, where they just do everything opposite.
It's a sacrifice to become, a critical thinker. It requires a lot of energy. And
It does.
Are people willing to make that sacrifice? I don't know. Why? Do you have a reason to live? If you do, then you'll probably make the sacrifice.
Let's go to Super Chats. If you have not already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and become a member at timcast.com. We're going to have a members-only show coming up for you at 11 p.m. And we'll have a good show, but let's talk about these Super Chats. No Mas says, Tim, laugh and have fun with Jobob as a guest. Well, okay, I think we
Done
did.
and done, yeah.
Matthew Reckamp says, in regards to Uvalde, obviously it's wrong to shoot cops, but at what point do they stop being cops and start being accomplices? That's the crazy thing. They were stopping the parents and not stopping the shooter. They were assisting the shooter. Jeez. That's crazy. And it wasn't even them who stopped him. It was the Border Patrol who did it. Were they helping this kid? Well, I'll say this. They helped him, whether it was on purpose or not.
Yeah. Sure did.
That's crazy, man.
It is crazy.
Grofty says, buck, 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 buck.
Indeed, yes.
Well then.
Wise
Deep.
words.
Insightful.
Honestly, it's a good point. He has the receipts.
Adam Drop says, hang on, Tim. Who among us hasn't sent their father a porn link? Or is it just Hunter and I? Yeah, I think it's just Hunter and you, man.
You two, sorry.
Adrian Contreras says, Tim said he clicked on the Hunter link for research. Is that what they're calling it nowadays, Tim? I was basically saying, like, I'm not going to rag on somebody for having, weirdo search history. Like, you can rag on Hunter Biden and call him a degenerate or whatever. The bigger issue is the political implications of sharing phone numbers. But I was like, look, I typed in Hunter Biden, MILF porn or whatever, not to actually watch it because I'm researching the news. And if someone saw that in my browser history, Tim, what are you doing? I'm like, no, you don't understand. It was a news thing. And they're going to be like, sure it was.
Sure.
All right.
Clear Tim's browser history if he dies.
Dagger says, Ian, look up Edward Bernays. His uncle and his nephew, mind-blowing psychological propaganda.
He's the father of modern propaganda, I believe. American theorist, considered as a pioneer in the field of public relations and propaganda.
Didn't he like make bacon a thing?
I don't know.
Like breakfast
I think
bacon.
me and Andy talked about that. I think
I
yeah.
love him then.
I do enjoy bacon.
Like
Yeah.
a
But,
Bernaise
like-
sauce?
Ooh, maybe.
That's something else.
I don't know about that.
I looked into that.
But orange juice, I think he did. Like orange juice is horrible for you. It's like really, really
Nothing
bad
but
for
sugar, yeah.
you. Yeah, and the idea
so
was
good.
there was an orange surplus, which meant the price was going to drop, and the farmers were like, "What can we do to make sure we sell all of these oranges?" And he said, "Make a new product." They came up with orange juice and said, "If an orange is healthy, a glass of orange juice is even more healthy."
It's like hot
Right.
wings.
So now
Same
you-
thing with chickens. Like they couldn't figure out what to do with the wings, and so now you have hot wings.
Really?
Really? I
think
love
so.
chicken wings.
Yeah,
It's
No,
my
I know, but I'm
favorite
pretty
thing.
sure. I'm pretty sure people generally ate the breast
I
and
gotta
the
look
thigh.
that up. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I don't
That's
know.
where the pork
Let me know if I'm
McRib
wrong.
comes from. They have a surplus in a certain month of the year, and that's what they put it into.
Edward
Disgusting.
Bernays, his family was not involved with the Bernays sauce.
Boo!
It's spelled differently.
Oh. Thomas Sidebottom says, Seamus, I watched the oldest video on the Freedom Tunes channel the other day. You've grown so much and come so far. I love seeing that. Keep it up.
Thank you so
Aw.
much. Yeah, that would be how government works, and that's this fall it will have been 8 years.
Oh, that was funny. It's the
Dang.
guy's like, I'm going to buy 1,000 lawnmowers or
yes,
something.
yes, yeah. You guys got to check it out. It's his like.
What does he say?
So the whole idea is, should I spoil it or should they go see it?
Just give us the gist.
So
Like,
the whole gist is like a guy comes to his house and he's like, I'm the social contractor. And he's like, what's your superpower? He's like, I build and buy things without your consent, regardless of whether you want them, and then expect you to pay for it when I'm done.
That's right.
He's like, that's a terrible superpower. He's
I don't like that.
but then he does like something
and then
useful.
he's like, I noticed your car was broken, so I hired a repairman, and the car gets fixed. And your roof was leaking, so I hired a roofer. And he's like, oh, this is actually pretty nice. And I noticed you didn't have a cat, so I ordered you 6,000 tons of cat food. He's like, why would you do that? He's like, well, my friend does own the cat food factory. But,
I see. I like that.
but go check it out. And if you really
that's a
want to
good
see
one.
how far we've come, freedomtunes.com, become a member, $5 a month, get
Nice.
an extra cartoon every week, and see a bunch of cartoons that we have up there now. You guys are going to love them.
Neil Sawyer says, hey, Shim Sham, I tried to use potatoes to pay for my membership to Freedom Tunes, but for some reason it only let me use this garbage currency called USD.
Yeah, so I've been
Seriously,
talking.
best $10 I've ever spent.
Thank you so much. Thank
not
you, and
potatoes.
that's more, and that is very generous because that is more than we ask. Anything above $5 is completely voluntary. So thank you so much for giving that. And yeah, I have been talking to the web developers about the potato payment processing possibilities.
Would they just send those to you directly?
Yeah. So we're gonna have to get a PO box set up just because PayPal will shave off like 10% of the potato.
Oh yeah.
And
like
I
potato
don't. I'm
chip.
not letting someone else have 10% of my potato.
That's
What
fair.
about NFT potatoes?
So I've thought about it. The part of why I want potatoes as payment is it's a hedge against inflation.
That's right.
Totally.
You know it, baby.
But I don't know about NFTs. I don't think they're going to perform well in the long term.
They kind of
But seriously, thank
sting,
you.
you know, when you eat them raw.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're even better rotten.
Ooh.
That's what I'm
Kintara
trying to tell
Bella,
people because I
I
have a
don't think
bunch.
that's accurate.
Kintara Bella says they just killed the Daily Wire live stream.
Did they?
I don't know if that's true.
I don't know either.
Did they?
Interesting.
I don't know.
Some people are pointing out that when we brought up World Trade Center 7, the stream cut out and then skipped, and like people, it always happens at these particular moments in the show.
Interesting.
My show is never skipped except for when I talk about Hillary Clinton.
That's
And I'm not. I don't
interesting.
actually think that's like legit. It's just really weird that it
I
does.
have been to these live streaming headquarters for a bunch of different companies. They have people who have big monitors and they can see like 100 live streams all at once.
No way.
And then they're watching each going. And when they see someone start to do something, they drag it and drop it into a watch
you
list.
serious?
Yeah. So
Literal watch list.
typically what they're doing is looking for cam girls.
Okay.
And so as soon as they see someone start to do something, they put them on a watch list, pay more attention to it, and then as soon as they see it get close, they nuke it. Yeah.
Whoa.
I don't know if they can do that for a lot of YouTube stuff. I do believe they probably have someone watching this show every night. This show, probably watching
Because they're
Crowder.
a fan.
Lucky.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Leave
What
a
was-
comment if you're watching.
Hey,
Yeah,
if you
let
work
us
at
know.
YouTube, if you work at YouTube and you're watching this, go to freedomtunes.com. Become a member. I know
It's a
you're
hard
making
sell.
enough money to subscribe at the highest level. Please do so.
All right. Oh, hell no says Depp originally lost $7 million, and now he wins 15, but only gets 10.35, but she wins $2 million in her suit. So in the end, Depp only came out 1.35 million on top, but still has all his lawyer fees.
All right, to be fair, he got out of doing the Harry Potter movie too.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
fair.
the judge actually ordered him to pay Amber Heard over that. He's like, to be fair, you
She
weren't.
did
Your
get
career
you
was
out of
saved,
that.
actually.
That was actually what I said. I said they should have just had her pay the $7 million he paid in his divorce settlement back to him if they wanted it to be poetic.
I'm not seeing anything about the Daily Wire stream getting pulled down. It's up now. They finished it. It was an hour and a half long, although it did
interesting.
end about an hour in. Then they go to some pre-record.
All right. Sevi Rose says, why would you share a Pornhub premium link unless you knew the recipient also did?
Yeah, they both have to have premium.
Imagine Hunter's like, he's like, hey, Dad, what's going on, son? You got to see this porn. Man, I'm going to send it to you. He's like, great, thanks.
Even they don't want to pay for ads. That's how bad it is.
That's great.
All right. Darian says, this behavior is endemic of every facet of power. The Bidens are nothing new. They're simply an example that we need new blood in Congress. Anyone can throw their hat in. Let me be an example of that. Wish us luck here in California. Well, good luck, good sir. Chance Bell says, do you guys think it'd be possible to get Maxime Bernier on the show? Maxime Bernier? Bernier. He's the leader of the PPC up in Canada, our growing populist party. He deserves more exposure if we're going to survive the socialist hellhole. Love you, Ian.
I love you too, man.
Yeah, I'm down. I don't know.
Didn't
Yeah.
he have
I
a
don't know.
bunch of stuff happen during the Freedom Convoy? Am I misremembering that?
I don't
He
know.
got jailed or got in trouble or something during the.
I think I remember chaos with him. He does have a standing invite from us. When I hit him up, he was so busy. There was no way he was going to be able to make it. But that race is over. So maybe, yeah, hopefully.
Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, step on Sneca and find out.
Love him.
We made Step on Sneca and Find Out skateboards, and we have a whole bunch of them, and I don't even know what we're doing with them. We just have them.
We should do a raffle or something.
Yeah, okay,
That'd
yeah,
be
we
fun.
should do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
All right. Hippie Kitty says, did Hunter send his dad the videos that he uploaded to Pornhub of himself? Oh, man.
That's what I was afraid of. Dad, look what I did. Oh my gosh.
Hey, Dad, be proud of me. Look what I did. That's mighty good, son.
Oh no.
That's crazy, man.
Cringe.
Joel Exeline says, watch the video of Jeff Sessions slapping Biden's hand away when he reached for Jeff's granddaughter. I can't believe no one mentions that one. Jeff obviously knows what a creepy is. Incredible. Yeah, I think I remember that. Yep.
I do remember that.
Creepy stuff,
Good
man.
for that
Yikes.
guy though.
Adrian Contreras says, the Clintons, House Lannister rich, but everyone hates them. The Bidens, House Baratheon incompetent, but can stir things up. The Bushes, House Targaryen going extinct. Trump, House Stark fan favorite. Aha. But nobody likes that show anymore, so I don't know. Sir Lemongrab says, with the culture divide, it's like we are watching the left and liberals fighting over hand grenade, and we are trying to stop them from pulling the pin. I know, that's why I'm like, dude, just, go about your business. Make money, speak up, build culture, focus on you, do your thing, Mike Ross says, the hoops you have to jump through to share a cell phone number is a bit wild. I manage a $1.6 billion company's network and phone plan. It is not normal. Wow.
I can't think of a single example in history of somebody having the same phone number as somebody else on purpose.
Well, I can't think of any reason why
you
would either.
right?
That's
It
so
doesn't
weird.
make any sense.
Yeah, I think Tim is right. I think that's totally cover for Joe working as Hunter. Really interesting.
Yep. It's a text from, it's Hunter's phone, but Joe's the one
Suspicious.
sending the messages.
Yeah.
All right. Ann Phillips says, new commercial. Kid dreams about high gas prices, immigrants taking jobs, then wakes up asking if Joe Biden is still president.
No. Here's the new commercial. It's the exact same commercial, but that guy's truck immediately breaks down because he's out of gas. He can't afford more.
Can't afford
and
diesel.
then it's like, Biden, a better America.
That's right.
He has to get out
The
of his-
children wake up, they're like,
No.
thank goodness.
The kids are running. The car breaks down, and the kids stop running, and they're like, we're safe. And then Joe walks up, and he's like, thank me, kids. I'm the one who made...
Sniff some.
Then the guy gets out of the truck, and he goes, curse you, Joe.
You know what I think would be a hilarious political ad, if we have time for it, or just right now, is a exact same ad of some Congressman A is a lifelong NRA supporter. He's endorsed by Donald Trump and supported all of Donald Trump's policy. He wants to build a wall on our southern border and supports the overturning of Roe versus Wade. Have that be an actual commercial. Then do the same exact copy with a minor tone key in it. Congressman A is a Donald Trump supporter. He wants to build a wall on our southern border and end Roe versus Wade.
Dun, dun,
That is
dun.
hilarious. A while ago, I can't remember if it was Vice or Vox, but there was a mini documentary on this fellow who was 3D printing firearms. And all they did is they took footage of him in an interview where he was speaking to them. And he was just speaking reasonably about the fact that because of 3D printing technology, it's going to be difficult to regulate guns, and Americans have a right to keep and bear arms. But they played scary sounding music underneath it,
Yep.
so I was like,
Totally.
"Oh, he's back."
Yeah.
That's my favorite. And
Minor
they
key.
they turn up the shadows, make
Yeah.
the side of your face look
Why
darker.
well, here's an idea. Like, why don't you take a Joe Biden ad or a Democrat ad and then just redub it in a minor key with a low voice?
That'd be fun.
So when it's a guy's like, I want to, forgive student loan.
Yeah.
John Smith wants to forgive student loan debt and help Americans help immigrants find a better path. John Smith wants to pay off college debt.
No, Joe Biden protects children by trying to detect if there are harmful chemicals in their hair.
That's right. He's checking for brain
That's a good one.
cancer.
You should make a compilation of all the sniffing.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, you know what?
What were you
No.
gonna-
Actually, here's a good bit. It's Biden gets word that China or Russia's a better country, has tainted shampoo, and they're like, Mr. President, Russia has sent tainted shampoo to this country, children's shampoo. How are we going to be able to find out which kids were affected by it? It's like, I'll do what I have to for the children in this country.
I'll sniff all of them, man.
Sniff them all. Or actually, it might be funnier if Joe Biden claims that. He's like, I got a report. Russia's tainted children's shampoo. So I'm going to have to sniff these kids just to make sure,
It's the only way to make sure, man.
I don't know if that's true, Mr. President. Don't you doubt me.
Mr. Biden, we can hire people for that. He's like, I'll
Nope.
do it myself.
Do it myself.
Your
All right.
impersonation of Biden is awfully well equipped cognitively.
Yeah.
That's true. That's a good point.
I'm scared.
Proto says, in ancient Sparta, public officials held their posts for 1 year, at the end of which they were immediately put on trial.
Oh
Let's
my.
try that.
That's
Wow.
a great idea.
Brutal.
What did you do
Because
wrong?
they knew. They're like, look, there's no way you can be
Let's
a politician
find
for
out.
a year and not commit a crime.
That's right.
Look at Illinois' governors.
Yep.
Andrew Biko says, what are your thoughts on an American citizen's right to an offensive attorney? Would this provide the middle class with the ability to level the playing field? However, new issues may arise from it. I don't know how we do that. That stuff, like public defenders are bad enough. Like public defenders are usually, they walk in, they're like, plead guilty. And you're like, but I didn't do it. Plead guilty. You're like, they have no evidence I did anything. Plead guilty. It's like,
And where do you
okay.
draw the line? Like, can you just sue anybody for anything as long as the taxpayer's paying for it?
You
in that
can,
situation?
yeah, right?
By offensive lawyer, they mean like a lawyer who's not going to use your pronouns?
Yeah, very yeah, I'm triggered.
Ashley Hay says, taking Tim's perspective yesterday, we need stickers praising Joe Biden for defeating climate change. Any ideas on something catchy? Defeat, I don't know. Like, how about big stickers with really verbose memes that are just impossible to read, explaining?
Left hand meme.
Yeah, like a leftist meme. Like, you need to understand that the goal here with the restrictions on gas prices was to make sure that carbon emissions would be reduced. And then people are just going to be like, what?
Yeah, that's a leftist meme.
Ratsu says, my daughter was just born 5/25 today. What did I miss? Happy birthday, my love, Niasa West.
Congrats.
Congratulations.
That's exciting.
Ionized G says, here's an idea. Keep the 2 4-year terms, but they can't be back-to-back. And no running for re-election while president. That's a good one.
Interesting.
Why is that better than 1 6-year?
Because they can't campaign while they're in office.
Yeah, they have to be out of office.
Yeah. So they're not going to run for re-election, so they'll campaign in the middle of the next person's election cycle.
You're gonna have ex-presidents sucking up a lot of attention.
I like the
like
6-year
Trump
thing.
is doing now.
Yeah,
Or like Obama's man or Jimmy Carter. I mean, like some of these guys don't
I mean,
go away.
historically, it's been kind of the norm that the ex-president doesn't talk about the current president, but that has been shattered.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
100%.
like, I feel like that would be the issue.
Rebecca Crane says, got in late, but Tulsa had an active shooter at a hospital. Democrats are going to go after guns even harder now. Yeah, it's really funny that the media is highlighting all of these stories now, isn't it? Right before an election.
Isn't that interesting?
Some of them are obvious, like when the kids, are getting shot at. I get it. But Chicago has this stuff happening all the time, and ain't nobody talking about it. Prince Swigetta? To me, UBI means the government takes their grubby hands out of my pocket. I would never have financial problems again. There you go. People are mentioning Tulsa, man. It's crazy. Uncle Sam says, fact check, your Lashenko leaks war plans video is false. Look at map. First Cav emblem top right, U.S. Army unit. That map is from 2014. He applied to be a fact checker for you. I was in that unit. Oh, that's a video from several months ago. I don't know. Well, I'll take a look at it, I suppose. leaks war plan video. What they were saying was that this dude had a map of Ukraine showing movements, and they believed that it showed movements that had not yet happened yet. I suppose he's saying this was from 2014. All right, let's see. NSX says, I'm about 50 minutes behind, but sounds like you guys are getting a few facts wrong. However, you'll find out in coming days, I'm sure. And yes, this was an awesome win. Clearly a hoax if you watch the trial. Interesting. All right. Lurch says, I'll never understand why people who lisp host podcasts. It's so annoying. Who lisps?
I don't know.
Me?
Ian?
I don't know. I
No,
had to go to
they
speech
said
therapy in,
this.
like,
They're trying to
elementary
like
school.
gaslight us. Or
Yeah, they're
something.
like,
They're trying to
"You all
like
lisp."
play with our reality.
And then we're gonna.
Oh,
start
they're talking
listening.
about Joe Biden.
Oh, I don't know.
man.
He's got a stutter.
Yeah, that's right.
Ethan Klein. He's
A
talking
stutter
about.
that makes him a stutter that makes him say being a poor kid precludes you from being a white kid.
That's right.
It's like, you know, one of those
Solid.
stutters.
Rookav says, I agree with generic Luke. Who's that?
Generic Luke. Is this Seamus?
It's
Better
Luke.
not be Seamus.
One of us.
I think Luke will be back next week. He'll be here next week. I think so. And I'm really excited for when we show him Lil Luke, the rooster, the cockerel.
Oh, yeah.
So we got a Polish chicken. It's a cockerel, so he's going to be a rooster. And he's got big, bushy blonde hair, because the Polish ones have, like, big hair. And he's got a big nose, and he's blonde, and he's Polish. So we were like, well, he's a little Luke. And then, you know, Luke's the one who said he's got my nose.
That's right.
So we were like, he does. We just called him Luke because he was
does.
blonde and Polish, and he had, like, a little haircut, kind of like
and he
Luke's.
looked angry.
Because they sound kind of similar.
Yeah, they
you
do.
know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. 9/11.
Wolf, I was going to say, and believe 9/11's an intention.
That's it.
Best Luke impression.
You want
I've
to talk
ever
about
heard.
9/11?
Yeah,
I'd love
that's a
to.
good one. 9/11.
Wolfric of Wessex says the Democrats are going to try and push Gavin Newsom as the front runner. Maybe
That's what
not
I'm
this
saying.
cycle, but certainly by
Yeah, that's what you were
2028.
saying.
Big
Gavin-
plastic man?
There is no
Ken
person
doll.
in this country that wanted Donald Trump to win more than Gavin Newsom
Interesting theory.
in 2020.
Why
We can
is
go
that?
into that if you want, but that's
That's
my
the
thought.
theory. Interesting. I hear more.
Well, because Gavin wants to run for president.
Oh,
Yeah.
And that was his best option. If Trump were to win, he would run in 2024 as a sitting governor.
But
Now,
he's like as plastic can
well, I'm
get.
not saying he's going to be
ridiculous.
good at it. I'm just saying he wants to do that. And
I'm sorry, he's B tier.
Yeah, he's
Like,
cheap
he
hair
comes
gel.
off like a generic politician.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Again, I'm not saying he's good at it. That's just him. That his trajectory had Donald Trump winning, and it got screwed up.
He's one of
I
those
think-
guys that does this when he talks with his hand. You know?
I think him and Mitt Romney were actually made at the same factory.
Yeah, yeah. Trudeau's factory for sure. Yeah.
Mark H says recently a man opened fire on a graduation party in Charleston, West Virginia, with an AR-15.
That's correct.
A woman with a carry permit took her handgun out and killed the suspect.
That
Yep.
is
But you don't
correct.
need a carry permit in West Virginia, so I'm not sure she actually had one, but maybe she did. But you don't need one anyway. It's a constitutional carry state.
Well, they said
I'm-
Charleston. They may be talking about South
South
Carolina.
Carolina.
No, it's
No,
West Virginia. We looked
Oh,
it
is that
up,
what it said?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, we know the story. We talked about it.
Oh, okay.
I just want to say that the Supreme Court is currently going over a court case related to guns, and I'm just crossing my fingers for a broad ruling that basically says constitutional carry nationwide. Maybe.
Yeah.
I
Cross
don't know.
my fingers. Yeah.
The thing is, in New York, they're trying to ban body armor and long guns. It's like basically ban everything. And I don't know where they're at with that right now, but there's a lawsuit because in New York, you can't get a gun. You can file for one, and they like tell us why you need it, and you're like, it's my right. Too bad, and they throw it in the garbage. You don't get it. So they sued. The Supreme Court's reviewing this. It's possible they do a broad ruling and say states cannot require a permit for owning a gun.
What do you think the
for
odds
carrying
are?
one. I don't know about that one. I think low probably because even Scalia said Second Amendment is not absolute, which is just ridiculous. Like we know exactly what kind of weapons they had back then. We knew about the advancements in weaponry. The founding fathers knew it. If you want to amend Second Amendment because of the advancement of weaponry, by all means, let's have that conversation. But just to come out and be like, we've decided that weapons are too powerful, so your rights are gone. I'm like,
Oh, it doesn't sound right.
yeah. That's what they're saying. Well, the founders didn't know about the internet, and the internet's changed everything. Don't care. You got to change the Constitution and adapt to these things. You can't just ignore it. That's where we're at, though. Darth Professor says, great conversation, everyone. My concern about the upcoming election is the Dems will do the same thing as they did in 2020. Dems have tripled down on their agenda. Bill Clinton changed course, even Obama, to keep people on the Dem side of popularity. We'll see, I suppose. I think so. Let's see. Arthur Messia I covered the Tulsa shooting at St. Francis. I was the first to break the news. My wife is a nurse there and was in lockdown. My kids were at the daycare there. I got them 10 minutes before it started. Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy.
Scary.
Man. Iron Lord Oni. The young girl shooting the 2 guns have a YouTube channel called Autumn's Armory. She's awesome. Check her out. Well, there you go. Crandall Logan. You can only have an opinion and make laws on certain guns if you currently own and practice with that type of gun. And you can only have an opinion, make laws on background checks if you have passed a NICS background check. I love when Beto was like, people shouldn't be allowed to have AR-15s and AK-47s. I wish I was there and I'd be like, Mr. O'Rourke, what about a SCAR 20S? Well, that too. Mr. O'Rourke, what about an M1A? No, well, that too. What about literally any other rifle? All of them.
Robert.
Come on.
Yeah,
It's like, we're going to ban this one gun.
Francis.
Robert. That's not even your real name.
That's right.
Beto. Dragon Stallion. Or Stalin. Dragon's Talon.
There you go.
Lydia. 5th graders learn to shoot guns by using school gym as target range, Wyoming. Idaho Statesman paper. Yeah, but that was airsoft. I was shocked and offended. I said, those kids should not be using those weapons.
Right, yeah.
They should be outside with Ruger 1022s.
Of course, yeah. I agree.
Airsoft.
I agree.
No, I mean, to be completely honest, like airsoft for kids to start training is probably a good way to start.
Yeah, I started learning to shoot, I think, when I was about 7 with BB guns. Then we gradually went up from there, and it worked great. A little safer.
Clint Torres says, Brett, hey, bro, sorry couldn't make your last episode, but good thing I never missed him. Well, there you go.
Thank you. Yes, we are doing the show live now every day,
right.
3 p.m., Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday at 3 p.m., youtube.com/popculturecrisis.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, we've got big plans for big marketing push, making that show big.
Yes.
So subscribe. Ossery says, Tim, check out Brandon Tatum's take with Uvalde shooting. He had the inside scoop from the officers on site. Interesting. Rage 8 says, what did Michael Malice say about cops killing kids? Arm our teachers, bring back marksmanship in schools, and issue every citizen a free firearm. I'm not sure I want to give groomers guns. I don't know about that one.
No, not all teachers should have
Maybe
guns.
age 25, people could apply to get a rifle or something like that.
Well, what do you mean?
Government issued rifle.
16.
It's so young.
Well, we drive cars at 16.
That's also young.
Very dangerous.
So if you
yeah.
pass firearm ed, you get your license. You go to school. They have elective. You can or you don't. I didn't do driver's ed. I just turned 18 and went and got my license. It took me like an hour. So then if you don't do that when you're 18, you can go in and fill out a general knowledge question. You know, like you gotta know how to load it. You gotta know where the safety is. You gotta know how to point. They'll ask you basic questions like what are the 4 basic rules, and then you get your government issued, AR. The best argument against this, I'm somewhat kidding, by the way, but they were like, government subsidizing weapons will drive the price up to ridiculous numbers
point,
Yeah,
and
good
make it hard for
point.
people to buy.
Yeah.
There
So
will be
it
like,
does.
if the government promises everyone a free gun, there will be a gun shortage in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Completely run out of them.
There you go. Spiro Floropoulos says, according to sources say.online, Ian has created a lover from graphene, LOL. So I recently got this, I got an ad on Facebook for an AI text generator, and it's marketed as a tool for helping you write, whether it's news, product marketing, or blog posts. And so it's actually so much fun. I have an idea. I think we're going to do like a Chicken City cartoon. I put the inputs in. It was like Ian, witch, cat, graphene, Federal Reserve, and it wrote 2 paragraphs about Ian being a scientist who was trying to formulate graphene, but a witch came and like stole his banana or something. It was awesome. And I'm like, we should totally just, do AI bits.
What's this website called?
I think it's called Jasper. Something like that. I don't know. Google AI text generator.
Yeah.
And so you can write news stories. So the crazy thing is it actually knows the news. And so I tested this out. And is that what it was called?
Jasper.ai.
Is that
looks
it?
like, yeah.
I typed in Joe Biden gas prices record levels, and then it wrote 2 paragraphs of a news story, and it was like gas prices have reached a new record level under the presidency of Joe Biden, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, at the very least, this is the narration that would play over like a funny thing, a funny skit.
Sometimes
It's cheap shit.
you can't really use it. I mean, it's funny, it's a gag, but I'm surprised that anyone would actually use it as a product.
Right. It's good, like inspiration if you want to write something about these topics. This can give you like okay. that's nice.
Right, exactly. That's the only thing it really is, like a muse, because you can do creative story, and that's what I did for the Ian graphene thing. But like, you can't continue the story, so it'll write you a paragraph or 2 paragraphs, and then you can't continue the story because if you put in new inputs based on the old paragraph, it creates a different story.
I mean, it's
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, Joe Biden's using it to write his speeches.
Yeah,
Kamala
so it's
Harris
like-
is.
Yeah, so
she
is
definitely
Kamala.
is, yeah.
Kamala Harris has an earpiece, and it's an auto
Predictive
AI
text.
generator, and she's just like, the dog went to the store, and Ukraine's small, and I'm the president. And they're like, what is she saying?
Then
It's
it
the
gets
passage of
confused and she
time.
laughs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's grab some more super chats. Duder says Hunter and Joe shared bank accounts. So why would they need 10% for the big guy? Because the big guy is Obama. Whoa.
Dun, dun,
Everybody
dun.
woed at the same time.
Blew our minds with that one.
The big guy is Obama.
Well, it definitely blew my mind that Hunter
Listen here,
could
Joe.
be Joe.
You're going to cut me in on this deal, or I'm going to beat you mercilessly.
I will tell on you. I'll tell on you if you don't cut me the deal.
These are both
Okay?
actually very impressive.
Yeah, they're
thank
great.
you.
Yeah.
I will mercilessly beat you.
Yeah.
Joe, I will beat you with a 2x4 until you are no longer able to form a coherent sentence.
I mean,
And Joe didn't pay him, and that's
Yeah.
what happened. I beat him with a 2x4. Come on,
All right. Andriy Gerasimenko, the dual-wielding 7-year-old, has a YouTube channel called Autumn's Armory. You guys should check her out. Yes, absolutely. All right, we can grab a couple more here. Reggae Vibe says, I like to tell Biden supporters, don't you wish you voted for Vermin Supreme? You'd have gotten no
do.
Trump, and he would have taken our guns and given us better ones.
Yeah.
We all would have won.
Free pony. Free
Yeah,
pony.
pony,
Yeah.
yeah.
Promise free pony.
Just gotta brush your
Mandatory
teeth.
toothbrushing
yeah,
laws.
Yeah.
K.A. Collins says, Tim and crew, come out and be treated VIP at the original Rock and Roll of Hillbillies of Chaos on June 4th at Paradise City Plaza, Appalachia, VA. Love to see you. Ooh, we'll take a look at
how
that. When-
fun,
that's
yeah.
Oh, that's Saturday, isn't it?
Sounds like it.
Oh, I
It's
wonder.
coming Saturday. Oh,
yeah, how far away is that? Where's it? Paradise City Plaza?
VA, West Virginia.
Let's look that up real quick.
I'm curious now.
Are you typing it in?
Yeah.
Paradise City, where is it? Is it far away?
No, Appalachia.
I can't go, but you guys have fun.
All right. Amy NW says, I texted my mom the moment the Sussman verdict was announced, and her exact response after a few profanities was, so it's over, Civil War or bust. And it immediately made me think of the show. Cheers to Timcast from California. Hey, how far away is it?
Oh, geez, 6 hours, 7
Oh,
hours.
Oh.
too far. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, become a member at timcast.com. We're going to have that members-only show coming up. We've got... we got some not so family friendly and offensive stuff to talk about, so that's always fun. And you can follow the show at Timcast IRL. Follow us on Instagram because we post clips all day, every day. You can follow me personally at Timcast on Instagram or Twitter. Jobob, you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, just Jobob. Type it pretty much anywhere, and if it's a brown guy with a hillbilly name, that's probably me.
Probably
Check out the Daily Caller live show each and every morning on all the Daily Caller platforms, and watch out for the Star Spangled Banter Tour, which I'm not entirely sure what that is yet. But
Right on.
Guys, you can follow me, Brett Dasvik, on Instagram, and then follow Pop Culture Crisis on YouTube. We are now live Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. That's 12 p.m. Pacific. I always say if you're in California, eat a burrito at lunch. Come watch us. It's great. We're also on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify. You can listen to us there. It's a lot of fun. We'll see you there.
Cool.
I'm Seamus Coughlin. I have a YouTube channel called Freedom Tunes. We're going to be releasing a new cartoon tomorrow. I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. I also have a website called freedomtunes.com. If you want to go there, check it out. Become a member, $5 a month. You'll get a bunch of extra exclusive cartoons that I think you'll enjoy.
I'm looking to find a couple of UX artists that are interested in working with the charity that I'm setting up to build this open source technology that we're working on. We're very, very far along on the project, but we need some artists. So if you're a UX artist and you want to get involved from the ground up, hit me up on Twitter or on Minds and let me know, and I'll get you roped in. Also, this is a book that I wrote. Talked about it last night. It's called Writing in the Dark. It was like a kind of a diary when I was co-founding Minds. Just going to leave it there, but with one more thing, please do your best to think outside the box. Love you, ma'am.
Solid advice from Ian. Everybody is talking something. I just have sourpatchlids.me. You guys can find all my socials over there.
We will see you all over at timcast.com. Thanks for hanging out.
Bye, guys.